Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Raise this a little bit. This should be good. I think this should be good, right? Roughly. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. How we doing? Hello, hello, hello. No, there's no break next week. What are you guys talking about? There's no break. We should finally have 3 straight weeks of chapters, right? We should finally be there. Finally should have 3 straight weeks of chapters. Paul Mao, good to see you. Morge late. Still good to see you. Oh, Haas says people really arguing in a live stream that hasn't even started. Okay. What the... All right. Under 20 minutes? Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, no break. Okay. All right, everybody. We ready? You all ready? Enough funny business. Enough joking around, all right? It's time to get serious. All right? How's everybody doing, by the way? Good? Golden Week? I don't understand. I don't know what Golden Week is. The first time I ever heard of Golden Week was through One Piece because of the character Miss Golden Week. Oh my god, Polmau. Holy shit. What the... what the... Okay. Thank you so much. It is always really good to see you, but what a way to make a comeback. Holy shit. Thank you so much. And everybody in chat say thank you to Polmau because Polmau just gifted 20 memberships. So a lot of people just got really, really lucky. Andrew Knowles, Maraki Joe, Maruko. It's probably the Japanese pronunciation. Chris Morales. What is this? James Halder. I thought it was James Harden. Zayn Ali, Wade Turner, Javok, Nate Owen, Prince Jerma, Rocco St. Clair, Varp TM, Pac-Man Lover 123, Manny, Sway Shocks, Angel X, Monax, PG24, Polma to Goat, no cap, says Andrew Yanami. I agree. Holy shit. Joe Crush says, give me one too. You can get one yourself if you like. You just got to hit the button below. But thanks so much, Polma. Seriously appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. What a way to kick off the stream. All right, everybody, let's get the stream likes to 100. I fucking hate Golden Week. I know nothing about Golden Week. I just know I don't like it. All I know, the only thing it's good for is delaying One Piece chapters, delaying manga in general. BeastGamer99, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 5 months. Luffy continues to try to hurt Worky, but can't, while Vegapunk talks and we see other... Okay, this is the prediction that BeatGamer99 is giving, which is possible. Luffy continues to try to hurt Worky, but can't. It is weird that it happened 2 chapters in a row, because the first time that he did it with Red Rock, it was like, okay, this is just, it's Red Rock. Let's not go crazy. It's the same move that Luffy opened up with against Kaido, but that's fine. Red Rock didn't work. Gear 5th not working is interesting. I do think that we will see more out of Luffy in Gear 5th next chapter, I like to believe. While Vegapunk talks and we see other character reactions. End of chapter, Iron Giant hurts Worky. No, if the Iron Giant hurts Worky, I'd be upset. I'm like, man, Luffy's supposed to be Joy Boy, the second coming of Joy Boy, but he's not even as good as like some empty tin can. I don't know about that. Iron Giant hurting. I do think the Iron Giant taking action in some meaningful way is going to be a big deal. Iron Giant versus the Gorosei. Man, if Luffy needs his ass saved from... Well, there's so much giant shit going on right now, right? Like, the Giants from Elbaf, the Iron Giant. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, what Oda's getting at here, thematically or whatever. We see other characters. Okay, I do think that we are going to get more of Vegapunk's speech. I've personally really, really, really enjoyed... how Oda's been framing these chapters with Vegapunk's speech ongoing, because, I don't know, just the style of having that heavy sort of serious narration in the background, and I think that Oda's never been, okay, how do I say this? One Piece, I don't expect great dialogue consistently from One Piece, and certainly not great monologues. It does have a few here or there. One Piece has moments of really great dialogue and statements for sure. Like, we all know classic One Piece quotes, but generally, like, extended bits of characters, just, like, it's just not how Oda writes. He doesn't write characters even talking for extended periods of time. I feel like the way that Oda's written Vegapunk's monologue so far has been very, very, like, it's it's very well written in the sense that you get a lot out of Vegapunk's character here, and a sort of a very sort of measured, thoughtful post-mortem speech where you can feel the character really musing over his thoughts on his life, on what he's leaving behind, on what the world will be like. There's just a lot. It feels like a very reflective speech, like a very which is not something that Oda really does. Like in general, he just doesn't have characters talk at length for any period of time, right? In other series, like if you want long monologues with characters being particularly reflective, introspective, that One Piece isn't really the manga for that. I think having Vegapunk's speech with the tone and cadence that it's had so far to the backdrop of all the events of Egghead Island has been really, really good. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There feels like something very human about the way that Vegapunk's writing has been throughout this speech. Video will one day connect the entire world. It will mean knowing and the discomfort of being known. Like, it's I don't know. What is death exactly? Where do our ideas truly reside? The entire speech, I think, is some of Oda's... Like, it's not littered with individually amazing quotes, but the entire speech is littered with a lot of very nuanced, very thoughtful dialogue, which I enjoy. I don't usually expect that out of One Piece, so I enjoy what's happening here. JW, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 18 months. Yo, quick message to encourage finishing Tears of the Kingdom again. Was at the same place as you, trying to do most everything. At this point, I think it's best to ignore the rest, do the main temple/quest. It's worth it. Yeah, I do want to finish out the game. At this point, I want to finish it out simply because I'm a Zelda fan. I've played the other 3D Zeldas. I want to be able to compare, like, just at least the final temples, defeating Ganondorf and stuff. I just want to be able to compare and, just have that experience. Behenor, thanks a lot. Poland has its own Golden Week, which is the first 3 days of May, being Workers' Day, Flag Day, and Constitution Day. I'm guessing it's similar over there in Japan, the different holidays all in 1 week. Oh, so it's like a bunch of different holidays all crammed together? That's interesting. Because in America, we split stuff up quite a bit, like Memorial Day and all that. Okay, I could see it, but doesn't Golden Week come twice? Am I crazy? Golden Week, Japan. I feel like it comes multiple times. Am I crazy? No, I guess it's just once per year. Then what's... I swear there's a break for Shonen Jump that also happens in January for Celebrate. I guess that's just New Year's or something. Zayn Elise's Morge can solo Zoro with prep time. I can solo most of the Straw Hats with prep time. That's been proven indisputably if you go check the stream where I talked about soloing the Straw Hats with prep time. I can do it. Lord Luke says, what's your favorite Zelda game? Before I played Tears of the Kingdom, it was Majora's Mask. Playing Tears of the Kingdom, I need to finish it out. Because, like, I think there was definitely a long stretch of time where I felt like Tears of the Kingdom was not only my favorite Zelda game, but it was shaping up to be my favorite video game, period. I think I just played it so much that I just got tired of it. Not even sick of it, but just tired. Like, there's nothing enticing there for me anymore. So it's not really fair to me to compare to Majora's Mask, because Majora's Mask is just such a short... Like, I played Tears of the Kingdom to death. Like, I ran it into the ground for myself. Like, I'm close to 200 hours or something. So, yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. I feel like Tears of the Kingdom is the better game overall. Unless you are disappointed with it because Breath of the Wild... Like, I never played Breath of the Wild, keep in mind. So my opinion on Tears of the Kingdom, like, it's for me, it's like getting to... Like, without playing Breath of the Wild, it's like playing Breath of the Wild for the first time for you guys who ever played Breath of the Wild, but, like, a version of it with more content and more gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. So, yeah, like, just understand, like, even if my Tears of the Kingdom opinion is a minority opinion on how good it is, like, I really, really think it's great. It's because I didn't play Breath of the Wild, so I'm getting to experience so much off the bat, plus all the new additions that Tears of the Kingdom had. Anyway, I need to finish the game out to really, though, have a full opinion on it. Alejandro Ramirez says, love your videos, Morge. Elden Ring DLC in a month. Hype. Oh my god, when's it coming out again? I know it's in June. Elden Ring DLC release date. I'm excited because I'm going to get to play Elden Ring. Friday, June 21st. Holy shit. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm going to play the whole game. I'm going to play it then. Yokai Gota says, why play Zelda when Elden Ring exists? Because I'm waiting till the DLC comes out to play Elden Ring. I want to play the whole game in one go. That's how I've experienced the other FromSoft games with the DLC already included. Ceiling Stain says Tears of the Kingdom messes up progression from Breath of the Wild. See, I don't care about that because I never played Breath of the Wild. I'm actually one of those people that, because I never played Breath of the Wild, I appreciate the fact that I can just jump into Tears of the Kingdom and it feels like a brand new game. Like, it feels like I can tell that there's some backstory and past interactions between characters that I'm missing, but for the most part, it feels like I can play it just straight up without feeling like anything's missing. Left for lack of predictions. All right, let's get into predictions. All right. Let's talk One Piece. Okay. I'm pulling up Microsoft Paint now. We're not going to do like the other streams where we wait too long to open up Microsoft Paint. The Microsoft Paint's open up right off the bat. That's how you know we're serious here. All right. 1 second. Wait, I got to get rid of the previous Microsoft Paint that we had from last week. Santuri, thanks for the 2. Have you read or watched Kingdom? It's amazing. I have read a little bit of Kingdom. The first arc, and I thought it was a phenomenal first arc. I don't remember the details that well, but I remember when I was reading it, I was like, holy shit, this is like amazing for a first arc. It's actually a very ambitious plot line for a first arc. It gets into kind of a pretty dramatic story with a lot of moving parts right off the bat for a first arc. It's just that, mild spoilers, after the first arc concludes, which I think is maybe 30-ish chapters or something, there's a time skip. And because there's a time skip, I just took a bit of a pause on reading it myself and never got back into it. So it's been a few years since I've read Kingdom. I do want to get back into it, though. There's just so many good series out right now. Again, I'm on Haikyuu at the moment. I have not progressed in Haikyuu, but I'll probably watch some more tonight. Also, let's get the stream lights up to 100 real quick. Straw Hat Shako, thanks for the 5. Man, my hair's pretty messy right now. I need a haircut this week. Thanks for the 5. 10-15 predictions. Morgan's pulls up and drops off Wapple. Wapple eats Motherflame. Oh shit. Wapple eating the Motherflame. Can you guys imagine that? Wapple eating the Motherflame? Wapple wipes Egghead and becomes king of the pirates? Okay, I'm not gonna go that far, but how fucking funny would it be if Wapple legitimately ate the Motherflame? Huh? Like, Wapple's just walking around with the Motherflame inside of him. I feel like that's insane, but it's not the craziest thing in the world. It would just be a funny way for, like, Wapple becomes a sort of gag character that they keep around because he's valuable, like Caesar became for some period of time. That would be fucking hilarious. Currently catching up with Berserk right now. I heard that there's a Berserk anime coming out. I watched it. Well, not heard. I even saw that there's a trailer for it. I watched the trailer. I just think that too much is lost from Berserk. Like, it's well animated, but I think too much is lost from Berserk. I think too much is lost from Berserk when you translate from paper to animation, because you can't capture, unless the level of animation required to actually capture, like, you can do it, right? There's very artistic levels of animation that you can do, but the problem is that you would need it continuous for all of Berserk, right? It would be another level of artistry required. I've never seen there's never been any animated movie I've even seen that I'm like, okay, if you had this level of animation quality, then like consistent, then you could adapt Berserk properly, because it's just the artistry of the manga is just too important to that storyline and what makes it what it is. And I don't think it translates well at all. I don't know. I just don't think it can be done in a satisfying way. Straw Chocolate, thanks. Oh no, we covered this. Ender Ayanami, I'm always happy that you're in the streams, man. And thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 20 months. Monthly reminder to finish Fire Punch, lol. I'm getting there. Well, not really. I'm still on my hiatus from reading it, but I'm gonna get back into it. I still remember the panel that it cuts to. Hiatus is one of the coolest panels I can recall. Not hiatus, you know what I mean, intermission. What's the worst ending One Piece can have for you without you outright hating it? Without me outright hating it? That's so difficult to say, because it's just like, we're still too far away from the ending of One Piece. Like, you can still even debate who the final villain is going to be, you know what I mean? It's too hard to say what the worst ending it can have from. I can only compare it to other endings. I think if it had a Naruto level ending, I'd still be okay with it. I wouldn't hate it. Basically, like, if the war feels very bloated, and some clumsy character writing and such, but you still get the big fights that you want to see for the most part, and you still close out with the characters achieving the dreams and kind of thematically closing things out well. Like, that's how I view the Naruto ending. You have some Mickey Mouse death or whatever, like Neji. Don't care if that's a spoiler. That's fine. I'd be cool with One Piece having that level of ending. Enough that it'll always bother you, but not egregious enough to outright One Piece for you. Yeah, like that's how, like, for me, that's basically it. Like, if it had a Naruto level ending, I would bother me, but it wouldn't make me dislike all of One Piece. I can only really phrase it like that. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100. Ignorant Weed says Ace was Brother Flame. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Ace was... Oh, Mother Flame and Brother Flame? That's funny. I like Wapple eating the Mother Flame better. I don't think that's going to happen, and it's not going in predictions, but, it's an interesting idea. I think it'd be really cool. Also, like, because Wapple, like, he was even at one point, he was like, he threatened... This is one of my favorite little gags in One Piece, when Wapple threatens to eat his entire armory and become, like, this terrifying weapon of mass destruction or something. And then he doesn't have the armory key because Nami stole it, and it's like, oh, well, guess we'd ever get to see that, and then he just runs away. I feel like it'd be funny if Wapple does end up eating the Mother Flame. Okay, here's how we're going to do it. All right? Here's how we're going to do it. So, announcements, because we're going to do this slightly differently than usual, right? And I think that if we do it like this, then I'm curious if we might keep it like this for future break week. So I haven't thought this through fully. But we're going to do prediction. Okay. Okay, we're going to do it like this, all right? We're going to do predictions. These will be crowds. I'm going to give my predictions, obviously, but we're also going to crowdsource some predictions. Whoever is closest, we're going to write down predictions that we think are somewhat good from readers or from viewers. Whoever is closest at the end of the day to what actually happens in the chapter, that person, we're going to give you like a shout out and little, like, whatever, segment or whatever. Not segment, but like little shout out, mention, like, post your name, etc. at the start of this week's chapter review once the chapter actually comes out. Maybe there's a better reward, but we're just testing this at the moment, all right? There's a little test or something. Maybe in the future, a reward will be like, we'll figure it out. But at the moment, that's what we're gonna do, all right? So whoever's closest off of this stream, your name, etc., and your comment will be basically posted on the on the chapter review, basically to kick off the video towards the beginning. All right, so we'll start with that, and then we'll work from there. I like the idea of basically seeing who among the viewers and then maybe we have some consistent winners or something like that. I think during break weeks it'll be fun because we have a little extended time before the next chapter comes out to do one of those type of prediction streams and see who can get the closest. So let's see how that goes. I'll put that up here. Let me put that up here. I'm not putting everybody's predictions. Like, that's just not the way it's going to work. It's going to be like things that sort of stand out, you know? Write down predictions. Whoever is closest is shouted out in chapter review. Where's my face right now? My face is too high up. All right, I gotta move this. All right, this should be good. Yeah, that should be good. I'm gonna make my face slightly bigger. All right. Sanji gets hype tooled. I mean, last we saw. So did we see Zoro, Sanji, etc. at the beginning of last chapter? Let me check one thing. One second. Tala says, my prediction is Zoro will be huffing and puffing. Statistically, it's very likely. That is true. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. All right. We did not see Zoro and Sanji this chapter, right? Zoro, Sanji, even Jinbei. We saw Venus Juro. Don't know what Venus Juro is doing. It's supposed to be fighting Bonnie right now. Did Oda forget that Venus Juro is currently occupied with Bonnie? I don't know. Sorry, did Oda forget? Don't see this. Okay, just quick recap before we get into it, right? So what happened in 1114? Quick recap is everyone's reacting. Akainu's smoking a cigar. Everyone's reacting. Blah, 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 blah. Reactions. Yada, yada, yada. Reactions for people on the island. Mostly Vegapunk's speech, right? Nothing really changes. The big things are we kind of get to see the weaker Straw Hats fend off Saturn for a little bit, and then Saturn comes across the Mother Flame. Saturn does look kind of badass here, to me, traveling across the island. I think it's kind of cool. Like, he does feel like a bit like a force of nature. Just here, he is going through the weaker Straw Hats, obviously, but he kind of just, like, powers through them very quickly. Mother Flame, obviously a big deal. Iron Giant. This shit. They're trying to get off the... Usopp and them are trying to get the ship off of here. Personally, I think... This is really minor. Really minor, but I'm just going to call this out right here, which is I feel like as of late in One Piece arcs, like I think especially post-time skip, this has been more of a thing. There will often be... Because the characters are split up, right? Oftentimes, characters will be dealing with some goal that feels not that exciting or important. Like, we understand that it's technically important. Like, yeah, the ship needs to go down from top to bottom so that they can get out of here with the Sunny, right? But I'm just saying, overall, it feels like it's not something that we're that interested in. Like, when Brook was having the Sunny travel across by turning it into ice and stuff. That was nobody's highlight of the chapter. I feel like there's just logistical stuff that I think Oda thinks might be kind of fun storylines to have characters do that aren't really that fun overall, that kind of take up some space. I don't know, that's like a minor gripe, but I feel like that's been more of a thing post-time skip. Pre-time skip, it was like a little bit different because you had stuff like that, like, oh, we got to get Nami because she's sick up the mountain to Drum Kingdom, and oh no, now there's an avalanche and stuff like that happens, but at the same time, it's kind of like, at least that's the main focus of the story. Things were simpler overall then. I feel like post-time skip, you have really big, major battles and things like that happening. And then there's still just these like little logistical issues, like kind of like boring type things that are happening in the background. I don't know. I think Onigashima was kind of filled with these. Just things that you don't really care too much for. You're not that interested in. At least I think most people. Anyway, we're continuing with Luffy and versus the Gorosei, so not much changes within the context of what's happening at Egghead. All right, but nice little review. Big thing is that Vegapunk continues on to explain his stuff right here, right? Malik, thanks for the 5. First prediction: Warge's hair will be even longer next chapter. Fuck you. I will try and schedule a haircut. Thursday, and we'll see who's right at the end. Also, let's get the stream likes to 100 real quick. We're almost there. Akash Panda, thank you for the 5. My prediction: Joy Boy is actually spelled Joy Boy. The D is silent, like in Django. The will of D is the will of DeJoy Boy. The D is silent like Django, as I say, DeJoy Boy. Laugh tail type reveal. I view that as a stupid theory, so I will not humor it by putting it on the list. All right, but a good effort. All right, here's the way it works. All right, first, Morge's theories are going up. All right, so you can't use any of these. I'm just gonna knock out the easy ones. So that means that's gonna force you guys to have to get creative. Because if one of you guys says something simple like, we see Dragon watching the broadcast next chapter. Like, cool. That's decently likely. It might happen. It might not happen, right? But it's decently likely enough that I don't view it as an interesting contribution to the discussion. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take all the easy things out of the equation. We see Dragon watching the broadcast next chapter. Similar rules are basically going to be that you can't just say the Iron Giant does something. It needs to be specific. What's the Iron Giant doing, huh? All right. Malik says, it's okay, bro. You're just SSJ3 now. I consider long hair. Like, long hair would be cool, but I want, like... It's hard to explain. We'll see. We'll see what I can do. I do like the idea of having long hair, but my hair poofs up. So I'm like, what if I just got, like, super straight, and then I got like, I don't know how to describe exactly what I'm thinking of here. Okay. We see Dragon watching the broadcast next chapter. Right? So that's a simple one that we're not really going to do. Ignorant Weed says, prediction, emo face reveal. Okay, that's something we can work with. I don't think I don't think that's going to happen next chapter, but maybe that's what would make it a really good call. I'll put that down in a second. All right. And this is from Ignorant Weed. All right, you'll be the first person that I put down. All right? Okay. Whatever. Emu face reveal. Should I put your name? I'll put your name second. Emu face reveal. And that's by Ignorant Weed. Okay. What's the other easy stuff that we can knock out here? Luffy continues to fight the Gorosei. Okay, I actually don't have to. Like, what's some... I don't want to take away all of the things that you can get more specific with. So if you say next chapter, Warcury defeats Luffy, I think that would be specific enough that it can fall here. Let me just try and knock out what are the really easy things that we don't want to count. Like, we see Dragon watching the product. Okay, we see one of the Yonko watching the broadcast next chapter. Stuff like that. Okay, we'll see. That's fine. Okay, I'll just say this. Okay, how about this? Theories that are too simple to be allowed. Jing Freak says Joy Boy silhouette is seen in flashback form. I could roll with that. Joy Boy silhouette seen in flashback form. Jing Freaks. Daniel Allen says Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison. Billy Madison, but I don't remember either. I'll take Click. Click. Click is what do you call? I think Click is one of the most formative movies I've ever seen because it just taught me that you know two movies, Click and is it Hancock or Hitchcock? Hancock. No, Hancock's not nearly the same. But Click taught me that some random funny comedy movie or whatever, goofy Adam Sandler movie, like you never know. Like it's so much more impactful to have a movie that starts off as like silly, goofy comedy and then partway through have it turn into like some of the darkest, most existentially unnerving movies that you can watch. Like it really hits hard when you don't know what you're in for. Predictions: the origins of Nika is explored. Is that too broad? I don't know about that, man. That's kind of broad. The origins of Nika is explored. Like I'm gonna put something like I don't know. I think that's a little broad. It's a little broad. If you have something specific to say about the origins of Nika, I could take it. Saturn causing a nuclear failure. Luca CZ says we see Blackbeard anticipate his next plan while watching. No, like that falls under we see one of the Yonko watching the broadcast next chapter. You get points if you're specific. Like emo face reveal is specific. Big Meme or Lido in the cover story, says Malik. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna throw that in. Big Meme. I'm gonna phrase it properly. Or Kaido, fate revealed in cover story. Behanor, thanks a lot. Either Emu or some of the Gods Knights leave Marie-Joie, maybe even to go to Ega themselves. I don't know how likely it is, but hey, let's be bold. I'm gonna give you one or the other, Behanor. So just comment below. You gotta give me one or the other, because we can't do either this or that happens. Otherwise, it's unfair. You don't super anything. I'll just see your comment, but give me one of those. What's your guess? Emu or the Gods Knights leaves? Which one happens? I'll give you one. But you gotta lock yourself in. Where to, oh man? Thanks for the 2. Big robot revealed to have been on Joy Boy's crew. I like that. Big robot revealed to be on Joy Boy's crew. I'll say Iron Giant revealed to be on Joy Boy's crew. Where to, oh man? Banort saying Emu leaves Marishua. That's like an upgraded version of Ignorant Weeds guess. Emu leaves Marishua for Egghead Island. That's a bold one. Banort. Endrianami says, gotta give your own prediction too, Morge. You're right. I should do some. Okay. After the next, I'll take one more, then I'll give my own predictions. L, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 15 months. Prediction, Gorsei transformation, maybe into a more powerful one. Okay, Gorsei new form. I feel a little tricky on that, like a little mixed on that, because I'm like, okay, if Warkiri goes into his hybrid form, I don't feel like that's bold enough. I could see that. Like, more powerful form is vague. L, can you specify? Are you saying, you have to specify this. Specify, just in a comment below. Are you saying they reveal a hybrid form, or a new form, like new form, never before, like some upgraded version? Flawless Tune, thanks a lot. Tala says Morge would be too bold to predict Jinbei doing something besides stacking Amazon boxes. That would be bold, but we're not going to take it. Flawless Tune, thanks a lot. Thanks for your first super. I feel like you wanted to include a comment, but didn't quite make it there, but I still appreciate the effort. Yeah, L, if you can give me something a bit more specific. New form we haven't seen. Okay, so not even hybrid. Okay, I'll throw that in. Gorsei reveal new form, not hybrid, that we haven't seen. Okay, let me give some predictions. I personally think next chapter, my predictions are allowed to be non-specific, all right? Okay, well, I'll say, like, Vegapunk's speech continues, right? That stuff's too broad. Okay, so let's do me. So what's a specific thing that I think happens next chapter? I don't think we're going to get to see much of the Void Sentry. I do think we'll see Iron Giant take action against... Iron Giant fighting at least one of the Gorosei. Is that too broad? Like too easy of a guess? I don't know. It's okay. I'm not in contention for this, right? Although next time around, I think we could do something more like Morge's predictions versus chat's predictions, and then we'll see who's closer to correct. I think that's more fun. If we do me versus chat, I think that'll be fun. So I guess we can kind of do that here. So what do you think? Is Iron Giant fighting at least one of the Gorosei? Is that too broad? Zoro fights a Gorosei, says Mr. Random. I'll take that. Yeah, Zoro fights a Gorosei, says Mr. Random 8765. Is Iron Giant fighting at least one of the Gorosei? Is that too broad, or am I allowed to do that? Lucas Flores' broadcast snail is in Iron Giant. I've seen someone in chat mention that before, but I like that a lot. Broadcast snail is in Iron Giant. Lucas Flores. I like that a lot. Yeah, okay, let's see. Let me do some guesses. Iron Giant fight. Is this too broad? I have to be specific which Gorosei? Okay, I'll narrow it down to either Warkiri or Saturn. I think it's fine to have it at least that broad. Like, or not Saturn, Warkiri or Jupiter. Like, involved in Luffy's fight. I think that's specific enough. Flawless Tune says, I meant to say NL shown or tease with the moon. I don't know if that's going to make the list. We because it's just like, what are the chances of that? I guess that's fine. I'm going to have to keep it somewhat tight after a certain point just because of space. So I don't know if I want the moon thing in there. Because if you're right, then it would be insane. But also we're in the Wano cover story, right? So I can't see it happening in the cover story. And I can't see it happening. I'll throw it in. It's a super. I'll throw it in. If you're correct, then it would be an insane prediction. Great Enemy says Kizaru will get dialogue / actions to suggest his flip. I don't know if we put that in. Because I do think that that is something specific that could happen next chapter, but it's too open to interpretation. So, for example, the last time we got dialogue from Kizaru, he was like, yes, please leave me be, my wounds, they run deep or whatever. So would we interpret that as being like, oh, that's something, like, let's pretend that happened this chapter, right? That line where he's like, leave me alone, my wounds, they run too deep. Would that be, if that came out this next chapter, would people be like, oh, that's evidence that Kizaru is going to flip sides soon or something like that because he's regretting what he did? I think it's too broad. Trying to think what will happen next chapter. Mother Flame will be used to escape Egghead Island. Okay, Iron Giant fighting at least one of the Gorse. What else do I think happens? Mother Flame. I'm like, something happens to Mother Flame. Could say Venus Jura fucks up Bonnie. I don't know if that'll happen though. I think Oda might be about to make Bonnie look good. Peter Falk's Laugh Tale is a raft. I kind of disagree. Exports is maybe Yonko's reaction to the Vegapunk message. I put that in theories that are too simple to be allowed. Like characters reacting to the broadcast. I'll just say generally, I'll make this simpler. Any characters reacting to broadcast. I'm just, you know what? We don't need this section. We understand what's too simple to be included, right? Have to be specific and not obvious. I can't think, besides the Iron Giant, it's too open-ended, because the routes the chapter can go are either Vegapunk's speech continues, and we get some deep lore on the Void Century, or Vegapunk's speech continues, and we're getting, but like, isn't the highlight of the arc, and instead we're getting more focus on the action of what's going on at the moment, you know? Lucky Man says Saturn teleports the Mother Flame away. I love that. I've thought about that happening before, because, or no, that was brought up last stream by somebody even. And the reason I like that a lot is because I still believe that when it really comes down to it, if too much is being revealed by Vegapunk, then Imu will try and fire the weapon at Egghead Island. And I think that's where Kizaru could potentially have his redemption, saving characters from that. So I've been vocal about that. I think that that's a possibility. But, you know, for that to happen, they need a Mother Flame. And, you know, Saturn teleports Mother Flame away. This is Lucky Man. Okay, let me try something bold. Let me try a bold theory. Bold. Bold theory by me would probably be Zora fighting the Gorse, it's already taken. I would say Luffy getting overwhelmed by Warkiri Warkiri and them, but I feel like with the way the story is going, of Vegapunk kind of, like last chapter kind of ending with Luffy and them laughing and stuff like that, and Vegapunk kind of hyping up Joy Boy, I don't think it would be, like, I feel like Luffy getting fucked up might feel a little bit off. Let me read Rayuchia. Rayuchia, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 19 months. Gorse, contact Imu. Tell them they can stop the broadcast and Imu decides to go nuclear on Egghead. So what we have already is Imu leaves Marisha for Egghead. So are you saying that Imu tries to nuke Egghead? Because that's like a whole nother prediction. I can put that down. But it would require them already having a Mother Flame. I don't know if they have another Mother Flame. It hasn't been specified whether they use the only one they have or they just need more from Vegapunk just so that they have more in general. I can put that. Imu decides to nuke Egghead. And that's from Ray. JWP, thanks a lot for the 10. Always good to see you, man. Would be cool if Vegapunk drops the name of the Ancient Kingdom and gives info about it. I think it's more likely, though, that Joy Boy's race gets revealed as being a buccaneer and the whole chapter is Joy Boy's story. Okay, I'm going to piece that out. Name of the Ancient Kingdom would be awesome. One of the reasons I think it's actually genuinely possible that we get the name of the Ancient Kingdom is because Egghead Island does parallel Ohara in a lot of ways, like this arc. Parallel, but also just, it draws, it full circle from a lot of things that were dropped and revealed in Ohara, right? And a lot of similarities, obviously, Buster Call, trying to erase history, trying to hide history. Professor Clover revealing secrets of the world, Vegapunk revealing secrets of the world. There's a lot of similarities, right? Even the giants being involved, right? Saul and the Elbaf giants here. So there's a lot of similarities. And the name of the ancient kingdom was hidden right then, right? In Ohara. It was too early for us to get it. But I do see that being very possible here. Name of ancient kingdom is revealed. This is JWP. Joy Boy revealed as Buccaneer. Joy Boy revealed. I'll just do that. Joy Boy revealed as Buccaneer. Oreo, thanks a lot. We see Joy Boy using Gum Gum Pistol in his intro. So you're banking on us getting to see Joy Boy in this chapter. I don't know if we see Joy Boy in this chapter, but I'll throw it in. Joy Boy using Gum Gum Pistol. Brandon King, thanks a lot. Joy Boy was Yamato plus Bonnie, girl that wished to be Nika. I'm just going to put Joy Boy was a girl. I think that's kind of wild. I think that's very unlikely, but that would be interesting. I think I partly just because Joy Boy is in the name, and it's Joy Boy, but, you know. Ignorant Weed, thanks for the 5. Do you expect anything from Kuma next chapter? I almost forgot he's there and clearly still has a role to play. So when I was trying to think of my bold prediction, Kuma did cross my mind, but I literally don't know what he would do right now. I do think him making some sort of a sacrifice is going to be important, but I don't know in what context. Saving Bonnie in some way, maybe. Bonnie is trying to take on a Gorosei, Venus Juro, but it would feel random. I feel like Kuma doing something to Saturn feels more right to me, because Venus Juro is just like a little bit more... like they're just tangentially related, you know, not as related to what's going on right now. Akash Panda with a serious prediction: Ancient Kingdom's name equals Binks. That is a very, very bold prediction, because you're not just guessing that the Ancient Kingdom's name is going to be revealed. You're guessing that the name is Binks. But that would be really cool if it's correct. Ancient Kingdom's name is Binks. Akash Panda. That would be a sick prediction. Bink Sake. I want to pull up Bink Sake, the song again. Sal Borghini, thanks for the 5. Vegapunk reveals too much, and Emu decides to sink Punk Hazard like they did Lucia. Maybe not this next chapter, but chapter after next. So I do believe that is very, very possible, and that if not this chapter, it could happen soon. Unfortunately, that one was already called by Rei Uchiha, so I cannot put that down under your predictions, just because you're a step too late here. But you could guess that next time we do chapter predictions, if it hasn't yet happened. I do think that we could get close to something like that happening very soon, just because it would have to happen before Vegapunk's speech concludes, because they're just going to panic and want to really cut it short, right? It'd be very similar to how the Gorosei panicked during Ohara and decided that we got to cut the Vegapunk or the Clover situation short and assassinate him. Isis 1155, thanks for being a Yonka tier member for 9 months. Morge, Emu will use Haki next chapter or start an attack against Egghead, Dark Clouds. I think we're already kind of I need to put things that are kind of distinct, right? So we already got Emu leaving Marijua for Egghead Island. We've already got Emu nuking Egghead. So once we're getting into the territory of like stuff like Dark Clouds and things like that, I think we're already kind of covering that with other things. Malik, thanks for the 5. Kuma will Android 16 himself, but not next chapter. Unfortunately, we're looking at next chapter. We got to look at next chapter. That's the goal right now. I do think that Kuma sacrificing himself is very, very likely, but I don't think that it's gonna. Well, if you want to you don't think it's next chapter, so I can't put you down on the list here. But general chat prediction. I mean, we'll probably do this again next time next break week comes along. I need to put a prediction. Okay. Iron Giant fighting at least one of the Gorosei, either Worker or Jupiter. What do I think happens next chapter? I already do think that Zoro fighting a Gorosei is a possibility, because Sanji's already engaged in a Gorosei fight. But at the same time, I'm like, this is already taken by Mr. Random. So Luffy's already fighting the Gorosei. I already said what I think the Iron Giant's going to do. I do think they find the Denden Mushi. I think the location of broadcast snail is found. Location of broadcast snail is found. Is that fair? Because Lucas Flores already predicted this. Broadcast snail is an iron giant. I think these are two different predictions, you know? This one is more specific, so if Lucas is right, then that trumps my prediction. Usopp remains a useless bum. I do think that is still going to happen. I'll say they get the Sunny down to the lower level. This isn't even a bold prediction. What's something out of left field? What's something out of left field that I could predict? Out of left field that I could predict. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Doogman11, thank you for the 20, man. Thank you. Lack of, and this is your third super, thank you very much. Lack of Zoro development in Wano and lack of Frankie development in Egghead. Will there be a lack of Usopp development in Elbaf? I'm mostly kidding, but there's a worried trend forming. So, I'll say this, which is that Zoro, at the very least in Wano, he had story focus. He had the same level of story focus and like just general screen time that I think many people hoped and expected for him. I think some people thought he'd be like just as important as Sanji was in Whole Cake. He wasn't that, but in terms, like, he was clearly focused on significantly more than any of the other Straw Hats that arc, right? He had more story time, screen time, panel time, etc. Like, look at Act 1. Act 1 is like literally the Luffy Zoro show the entire way through. It's a short act, sure. But then you look at Act 2, Zoro's storyline is the second, like, as far as it's tricky because Wano has so many characters that it's all spread out. But Zoro's storyline in Act 2, it got probably the first or second most screen time next to Luffy's storyline, right? So in terms of just screen time and panel time, Zoro's getting a lot. Even in Act 3, you know, who's the two biggest who's the two characters that do the most on the roof and get to shine the most on the roof? It's Luffy and Zoro out of all the Supernova, right? So he gets the most out of all the Straw Hats there. He gets about the same level of focus and screen time that you would expect in Wano. It's just that there's no substance to it, which is, I think, what really mattered more, right? Like, there's no real character storyline that develops. He's just doing things, but there's no cohesion to what's the narrative being built up around him. Like, what's the development? Is he getting a character arc here or anything like that? He doesn't really get any of that by the end of the arc. It's kind of just stuff to do, which is weird. And some of it even seems set up for certain things, like he's gains this vendetta against Orochi after everything that happened with Yasuo and everything like that, but that's completely irrelevant to the things that he does in Onigashima, like the King fight. The Yasuo stuff is irrelevant. The Orochi stuff is irrelevant. It's instead about mastering Haki with Enma, which is something that Act 1 and 2 really had there was no relationship. No relation to what he was doing in Act 1 and Act 2. So for me, Zoro got the appropriate amount of focus and story time. It was just random. It was just no substantive writing to it, basically. In Egghead Island, Frankie's getting basically nothing in terms of substantive writing, so I think that's unfortunate. But we still have some time to go. The reason that I view Usopp and Elbaf as being very, very different from Zoro and Wano or Frankie in Egghead is that Usopp and Elbaf is something that has been built up and set up for a long, long, long time. And Oda has had Usopp, the character, repeatedly talk about Elbaf being basically his major goal, like his end destination, where, like, between Little Garden, Water 7, and East Lobby, where he's interacting with the Oimo and Kashi there, you know, even mentioning it in Dressrosa and things like that. Like, Usopp is the idea that Elbaf is supposed to be important for Usopp and that Usopp will grow there. That's something that he has been talking, like, Oda's been having Usopp talk about over and over and over again. So, you know, it's different in that, like, with Frankie and Egghead, it's like, okay, well, it makes sense that Frankie should have something here because he learned under Vegapunk, like, from Vegapunk's lab and everything like that, so it would be a natural fit. But that's a little different from Usopp's situation, where it's like, no, this is already written into the story. Like, the character himself, the author himself, has been writing in Usopp, Elbaf. Usopp, like, Oda has been having Usopp basically state outright, Elbaf is important for me, right? So the difference is that it's already penciled into the story that Usopp is saying, Elbaf is important for me. It's very important to my dream, very important to my character, right? Frankie and Egghead, it's more like from outside the story, we the reader are saying like, hey, Frankie, wouldn't it make a lot of sense if he, grew in some way in Egghead Island because Frankie has a connection to Egghead or to Vegapunk. So we the reader are saying like Egghead should be important to Frankie, and then it turns out to not be the case. With Usopp, it's more like in story, Usopp himself is saying Elbaf is important to me, right? So it's more out of story versus in story. Egghead, Frankie, we the reader are like, this should be important to Frankie. With Usopp, Elbaf, Usopp is saying Elbaf is important to me, and he's saying that many, many times throughout the story. So with Frankie and Egghead, I'm kind of like, the fact that Frankie's not getting anything, it feels like a missed opportunity, a fumble or something like that, but technically there's no official in-story setup for this. With Usopp and Elbaf, it's more like, no, it wouldn't be a missed opportunity or a fumble or something like that. It would be bad writing if Usopp gets to Elbaf and there's nothing there for him because it's already been written into the story that Elbaf is crucial to Usopp's character and his storyline and just the general arc that he set himself on starting with Little Garden, right? So there's a difference there, right? Get what I'm saying? So I have more confidence that Usopp is going to have something significant for him in Elbaf because it's written into the story that Elbaf is supposed to be important to Usopp. The setup is already canon, right? It's already written in there. It's not headcanon. It's not reader expectations. It's just in the story. Elbaf is important to me. I need to go to Elbaf to fulfill this concept of who I need to become and stuff, right? So that's the difference that I'm saying there, right? Even with Zoro and Wano, there was never anything on that level written into the story for him. Isis1155, thanks for the 5. I said already, but Vegapunk will reveal Imu's existence as king of the world. Oh shit, I don't think that's been put down yet. That's actually that's a huge one. Okay, Imu's I don't know what I'm putting up here. I'll put it down here. Vegapunk reveals Imu's existence. Isis1155. That's a big one. I do hope that happens sometime soon. Rita 000 says Luffy finds a way to bypass Warcury's durability. I could put that down. Luffy finds way to damage Warcury. Who was that by? Fuck, who said that? Who said that? Hold on. I gotta scroll. Luffy, where is this? Who said that? No. I should have picked up the name. Oh, yeah. Kiyokami. No. Kiyokami actually technically said it first, but you're not the person whose comment I saw. Wait, so then is that fair? Because I didn't even see your comment, and then somebody else said the same thing. What the fuck? Oh, man. Now this feels unfair. Okay, so Rita is the person whose comment I saw. Luffy finds a way to bypass Warcury's durability. But I also actually saw... I just realized Kiyokami made that same comment earlier. So what do I do here? I think I gotta go with Kiyokami. I think I gotta go with Kiyokami because their comment is technically earlier. Although damaging the Gorosei is getting past the regeneration versus damaging Warcury's durability is like a different thing, which is getting past the durability to damage him in the first place. I can give both people credit. Damage Gorosei, Kiyokami. And then if it's specifically Luffy gets past Warcury durability, then that we can put that into a different category, right? And that's by Rita. What is this? Rita 000. What a weird name. All right, everybody's happy. The Water God, thanks for the 5. Imu sends his son, Yomota, who inspires to be Joy Boy, to kill Luffy and Egghead. Oh, that would be fantastic writing, right? Imagine if we found out about Yomota right after this. Yomota, who is also really, really inspired by Joy Boy. Isis1155 says, if I'm right, can I get Modlol? Yeah, okay, that's easy. How about also Whoever's closest also gets made mod. There's only so many things I could do. That's a great, yeah. Also gets made mod. A lot of people are already mods who might be in contention for this, but we'll figure out something for that too. This is a trial run, right? Trial run. So we'll figure out what the ideal rewards for people are as we go, right? We got more space over here and over here. Over here is my face. I guess we'll put it over here. Luffy uses gear 5th Red Hawk. Gorse in new form. We already got this. Okay, this is a lot. Let me just pick one. Let me pick one because we can't overload on things. So let me see one that I think is like a really, really good call. Jordan Schnoop is saying Vegapunk talks about rocks. Do we put that? I could put that. Can you be mod on iPad, lol? I don't know. Wait, let's do a quick recap of the things that people think, because I do think that some of these are really good. If I'm gonna place my little thoughts, right? I'm gonna say, I think that Emu face reveal, Joybo silhouette seen in flashback form. I definitely think that this is very likely. I think Joybo silhouette being seen is very likely. Malik's call on Big Mom Hokkaido's fate being revealed, I think is that's very possible because we're in the Wano cover story, so I do think that there's a good shot, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. Iron Giant revealed to be on Joyboy's crew. I think there's a decent chance. Then we got some of the Emu predictions. So Emu face reveal, right? Emu leaving from Marijua. So that's an even more bold version than the face reveal. I don't know, like, if it seems really drastic, but at the same time, all of the Gorse showing up was really drastic. Gorse revealing new form that we haven't seen. I don't think that's likely because not hybrid, because I just think that the forms that we have are the forms we have. Zoro fights a Gorse. I think that there's a good shot of that happening. Zoro running into Gorse. Broadcast Snail is in Iron Giant. That's my personal favorite prediction by Lucas Flores, and I think even in past streams people had mentioned this. I really like that because it just connects those two pieces together in a really neat way, which is like, what the fuck is the relevance of the Iron Giant right now, and where the fuck is the Broadcast Snail? I really like that. NL shown or teased. The one thing about the Broadcast Snail being in the Iron Giant, it's kind of like, well, did Vegapunk know that the Iron Giant would get up and move around? Because Vegapunk couldn't make the Iron Giant work himself for a long time. So did he just get lucky that the Iron Giant became active again and started fighting and everything like that? Because otherwise it would just be, I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess it would still be a good hiding place. NL shown or teased, I think that that's too out of left field. But, we'll see. Saturn teleports Mother Flame away, and Emu decides to nuke Egghead. These two things kind of go hand in hand because one leads to the other. I like to believe that these two things are on the table. I don't know if they'll both happen next chapter. Name of Ancient Kingdom. So this is Joyboy stuff. Name of Ancient Kingdom being revealed. I think that's possible. Joyboy revealed as a Buccaneer. I don't know if... I think that's definitely possible as well. I just think that the world might not really know what Buccaneers are, so I don't know if Vegapunk would put that in his broadcast. Joyboy using Luffy's attacks. I could see that. Joyboy being a girl. I personally don't think that's a thing. Ancient Kingdom's name is Binks. I think that's cool. I definitely think that that's a cool possibility. Vegapunk reveals Emu's existence. I definitely think that's a possibility as well. And then finding way to damage some of the Gorse or Workery, etc. I do think that's on the table. Just because last chapter, they were kind of hyping up Joyboy, and Luffy was unable to damage Workery even that chapter, but I feel like just because Joyboy is being hyped up, maybe Luffy's going to find a way to do it by the end of this chapter. The Final Storm, thanks for the 5. Did he heard you talk about the raid will fail, and he thought you were talking about the raid on his properties, so he let his guard down. There's so much crazy shit happening, and like between the Kendrick and Drake beef, and then everything going on with Diddy. Like, is this a crazy time for hip hop in general? Right? Like, this has got to be a peak period for shit to just happen. Lucas Flores says, I have a wild left field. Luffy uses advanced Conqueror's Haki. Icarus's dragon shows up at Egghead. I think that's too wild to happen next chapter. Dragon showing up at Egghead next chapter. It just doesn't feel like it fits with the flow of current events. You know what I mean? Because flow of current events, it's like the focus is on Luffy, Gorosei, Joy Boy's story. I don't know about Dragon showing up. Malik says hot take, but Sanji will take damage from Nishijiro even with the exoskeleton. Can somebody tell me, has Sanji taken damage with the exoskeleton so far? Has that happened? Also, it's undetermined as of yet, right? Whether the exoskeleton is always on or not, right? The Lorax says, Morge forgot my super again. Wait, fuck, let me see. It's probably recapping. Hold on. Oh, the Lorax, sorry, thanks for the 5. Giant Robot has a really like flashback with Joy Boy in a straw hat. Would it be cool if Emu had a similar flashback with Joy Boy? Oh, Giant Robot having a flashback. I think that'd be cool. Oops. Alright, we're on to the next row. What size is this stuff? 15? Giant... Nah, it's too big. What is it? 14? Yeah, that seems right. Giant Robot... has a Joy Boy flashback. I could see that happening. I feel like that's got a pretty damn good shot. That's by... Here's the Lorax spelled in a complicated way. Yeah, Giant Robot having a Joy Boy flashback. I definitely think that's on the table. Is this the same size as the other stuff? Is this one font size too small? I think that's closer. That's right. There we go. There we go. Okay, we'll put this right here. Alright, we're starting the next column. Next column begins. L says the weaklings stun or knock down Saturn. The thing is, L, Saturn's way past them. I don't know if I want to put that, because Saturn's way past them. You know what I mean? Because Saturn actually, like, by the end of the last chapter, Saturn is no longer fighting the weaklings. He made his way well past them to the Mother Flame, and he's now there. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that's a little bit too unlikely for me to use to take up space in the predictions list that we've got now. Just because now we're getting to... Now it's got to be real tight stuff. Now it's got to be the ones that seem pretty tight, you know, pretty airtight. See, like the Bat497 says Dragon revealed to be broadcasting. I don't believe that, so I'm not going to put it. Strahd's finally escaped the island? No, see, I don't think that's going to happen next chapter. I don't think the Will of D will be explained necessarily next chapter, just because it's too... I feel like that's Robin's shit. I don't know. JWP, thanks for the 5. Egghead is so insane. Who could have guessed we'd get God Valley and Void Sentry lore, Gorsei and Emu reveals, Shanks and Garp attacks, Admirals, Kuma, etc. Yeah, I think Egghead is the arc that it rejuvenated a lot of my faith and excitement in One Piece for sure, just because it feels like stuff that almost seemed too good. It's stuff that always seemed really far off. Like, we always knew that we're eventually going to see Shanks fight and Garp fight and stuff, but just getting so much lore, character powers, abilities, large-scale battles, major players taking action, you know, huge plot twists and everything like that. Having all of that happen at the same time within such a small span of time, like the last 40 chapters or something like that, it just makes the whole final saga feel so real in a way that it always felt like this is something that just theoretically could happen in One Piece. But now we're in an arc where literally we can cut away next chapter. Like, it could be like next chapter, like Dragon showing up at Egghead. That is a possibility. Maybe not next chapter, but, you know, within the next few, we could see Dragon versus Warrior or something sometime soon. I don't know. Egghead has definitely been I think literally for me, Egghead, because even in the emotional level, I think that was one of the biggest pieces for me, which was that Kuma's flashback was one of the most emotionally moving flashbacks ever in One Piece, if not the most for me. The fact that it's firing in every single capacity you could ask for. The only thing I'll always say that I feel is somewhat missing is just Straw Hat writing. I wish the Straw Hat writing was back to what it once was. I think it's never quite caught up to what it was pre-time skip, even at its best. Post-time skip. But I think aside from that, yeah, I think Egghead is representative of, like, peak One Piece stuff, you know? Oh, Malik says Big News Morgans and Vivi pull up. Yeah, fuck. Let's throw that in. I'm surprised that didn't come up earlier. I forgot about that. I don't know if it would happen next chapter, just because it feels like we're on the train of Vegapunk, focus on Vegapunk, Joy Boy, conflict with the Gorse and everything. But I could see them being seen next chapter, like arriving at Egghead, maybe cliffhanger type stuff towards the very end. Isis1155 says the Strahds are neglected as characters. Yeah, I still just like to believe that starting with Elbaf, like Elbaf being maybe Usopp focused or something, like just the way the story is set up, my positivity remains in that the way the story is set up, we do have to at some points just get focus on the Straw Hats, because Usopp and Elbaf, right? Just the amount of build-up and how much Usopp has talked about that shit, we should get some writing from out of him at Elbaf, right? It should just happen, right? So we can hope for some good shit for Usopp out of that, right? There will come a time when Robin, it's time for her to unravel the true history, read the poneglyphs. We should get some good writing for her out of that. There should come a time when Zora's ready to fight Mihawk, right? Everything comes full circle. We should get some shit out of that. There's just Brook meeting Laboon, stuff like that. There's just stuff that's been set up for a while that we are set to get by the end of the story. That suggests to me that the Straw Hats each are still due some good segment of writing for the story for each of them individually. That's my hope, just because of the way the things have been set up. L with the best prediction of all, Dragon Panel where he's still looking east. That is, unfortunately, too likely for me to put down. That's a great prediction. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Matt, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 2 months. I hope you enjoyed the last couple podcasts. Which Gorse, except Jupiter, has the handsomest human form? You said except Jupiter. So, handsomest human form. Isn't it just Jupiter? Right? Maybe Saturn? Just because I think Saturn's got like that, like that old school hairstyle going. Like, he's got the hair. The hair's pretty cool, right? Like, makes him kind of distinguished, I suppose. Right? Is it Saturn? Let's throw it to the people. Let's ask the people. Handsomest Gorse, maybe it's Mars. I don't know. You think it's Top Man? I don't know. Top Man's just got a circle for a face. Like, it's just like bald can still look good, obviously, but and he's got a really great mustache. But it's just like, I don't know if he looks like he himself looks kind of like a pig. You know what I mean? Even in human form. Handsomest Gorse, except Jupiter. Let's see. What did that people have to say? Do I do first names? Top Man, Venus Juro. What's Venus Juro's first name? Is it just Venus Juro? Oh no, because it's Venus Juro. Yeah, like it's a spelled out name. Mars, Saturn, whatever. Oh yeah, I guess we're just going to whatever. Mercury. Okay. I think they all have an argument because none of them are good looking, so they're all technically in there. Connor Casey, welcome to the Supernova. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, appreciate it. Manny says the Straw Hats escape will fail. But what does that mean though? Because like, I don't know what that means. Like they don't get their ship off the like. I think that's too broad. What does that mean overall? The Straw Hats escape will fail. Manny, just do a comment. I'll catch your next comment. Just do a comment. I'll catch your next comment. If you can be a bit more specific, because there's so many aspects to that, right? Like, they're trying to get their ship down to the lower level. Luffy's occupied with the Gorse. Sanji's occupied with these other characters, right? Like, Sanji, Bonnie, Kuma, they're occupied with Venus Juro, right? What does it mean for the escape to fail? Unless you're joking and referencing the raid will fail, in which case I'm not going to put it down necessarily, but I get what you're getting at now. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Connor Casey saying the Gorse decide to blow up the Mother Flame. I disagree, but this is your first super, so I'm going to put it down. I don't think that's likely because the Gorse really value the Mother Flame. Like, they've been trying to get it for so long. But this is your first super, so for the sake of encouragement of, you know, you put yourself out there, you know, for all the stream to see, I'll put it down. I think it's unlikely, though. Manny says also joking. Okay. All right. Thanks for the clarification. You never know. Mr. Random 8765 says Emu calls the Gorsei in order to launch the Mother Flame. Unfortunately, already kind of called. Emu decides to nuke Egghead Island. Saucy Rudy says Sidon will hurt Nami and Robin, and Sanji will want to move to protect. The thing is that Sanji's already, you know, he's already occupied trying to protect Bonnie, right? As he said, controversially. Oh, wait, we got our results. We got our results for Handsomest Gorsei. All right, hold on. Mars wins. Okay, I could see that. Mars is, yeah. I could see that. Venus Jura close by. Keep in mind, we're not talking in their Zoan forms, right? We're talking like this is just human forms. I could see that. Yeah, Mars is tall. He's got pretty great facial hair. The Gorsei in general have good facial hair. They got that on point, except for Venus Jura, right? Yeah, okay. So Mars is the handsomest Gorsei. That was a good question, because that's one where it's just like, well, there's no clear winner. Alexandros, thanks for the 5. Morge, I think there's a possibility that one of the Gorsei will try and extract the Mother Flame as a failsafe / desperation and get a permanent scar. Okay, I could put down Gorsei. I'll say Gorsei. I'm going to assume Saturn, right? Saturn's right there. Gorsei tried to take Mother Flame and is permanently injured. And this is by Alexandros. The Final Storm, thanks to the 5. Anime episode of 1073 came out. Stussy put sea stone cuffs. Oh, by the way, let me say this real quick. I've decided that because of whatever, because of past like people really wanting me to react to anime episodes and stuff, and me actually finding that I enjoyed the last anime. I enjoyed the last 2 things that you guys made me watch, which was the episode of Law versus Blackbeard. I thought was phenomenal. Loved that episode. 2, I enjoyed watching Lucci versus Luffy. That was a lot of fun. So for me, I'm like, okay, I think with Egghead specifically, if you guys hype up an episode enough, I will watch that. I will react to that episode live on stream. I did the same thing with Wano for certain scenes because I reacted to, like, you know, episode 10-15. I reacted to Gear 5th. I'll do the same with Egghead if an episode is hyped up enough. I'm not generally going to sit down and react to anime episodes, but I'll do it for the big ones. I think I'll do it for the big ones. If I find myself enjoying it enough, maybe I'd do it for more, but most likely just for the big ones. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Anyway, anime episode of 1073 came out. Stussy put sea stone cuffs on Lucci and Kaku. I reread 1073. She says she did too. Do people still think Stussy has a devil fruit? No, I don't think Stussy has a devil fruit. I thought it was pretty clear. Stussy's abilities, they seem to be like vampire abilities, but that seemed to be like Lucia Kingdom based, I thought. You know? Beyond that, she used her sea stone lipstick, right? Sea stone lipstick, am I crazy? It was something like that, or she did something with sea stone to affect Lucci and Kaku as far as I recall. So she got the drop on them like that. She also says that she couldn't have taken them head on. So it seems like that's needed. Write Connor Casey's name? Oh, shit. Was this Connor Casey? Because this doesn't have a name. My bad. Thank you, Kosh Panda. I'm sorry about that. Connor Casey. My bad. Kosh Panda, I'm going to make you a mod. Because of the good work right there. Thank you, Kosh Panda. Plus, you've just been in the streams for so long. JWP, thanks for letting me know as well. Thank you. Sorry about that, Connor. I'm sorry. She only used lipstick on Lucci. Was Kaku... What happened with Kaku? What'd she do to Kaku? People keep saying she's a Zoan, and I'm talking about the manga readers? Who says she's a Zoan? I did not think she's a Zoan. Do people think she's a mythical Zoan, like vampire type or something? Brownie Bot says, Morsh, predict over and under 4 pages of random unimportant characters reacting. So I think we're not going to have too many pages of random unimportant characters reacting because we kind of got most of that this chapter. Although I guess you need to do that again, right? Because Vegapunk's going to continue revealing things. That's the tricky thing with the world. Okay, so that's the tricky thing with the world being so big because with the world being so big, right? When you do stuff that affects the entire world and it's necessary to show the effects on the entire world, you do need to devote a lot of panels to showing the different places throughout the world, right? Reacting to it. Because if you don't show enough, then it doesn't feel like, because we, the reader, know how big the universe is. So if you don't show enough and you don't spend enough panels really showing like how people are affected, it doesn't give that sense of scale. Kind of like when Oda revealed the big hole that was left with the Lucia Kingdom and that it raised the water levels, right? He cut around a lot to make us feel the sense of scale. Same with the Marine Ford War approaching, right? He cut around a lot to show us characters from all blues and everything like that, getting ready for it. It gives it a sense of weight and scale. But it also means that over time, just a lot of chapters are going to get sucked up. Like, I was just reviewing 1114, right? And just reviewing that chapter was like, fuck, like, really not a lot happens in this chapter plot-wise for the arc. It's just you have to devote a lot of chapters to reaction panels, right? And that does make me wonder, as this, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So as the story goes on, we're going to have more and more scenes where, you know, like once the final war is announced, or once Imu starts firing the weapon again, or once there's just going to be other major world events that are happening. It's not just going to stop here. This is really just the start of it. So as the story goes, I wonder like how many times we're going to get more and more chapters like this where we just kill a chapter, respond like having people react to different things that are happening. I thought it was very telling that when the Straw Hats got their new bounties and the new Yonko were announced and everything, we did not get chapters cutting around to the rest of the world getting people's reactions, because I just wonder if there's just like, and that's been the norm for most other big bounty reveals, right? Like Enies Lobby, things like that. So I wonder if we just have like, or Luffy getting the bounty post Whole Cake Island. I wonder if that's just gonna be more of the norm going on. Ignorant Weed says, watch Shanks vs. Kid episode for Agenda. I will watch Shanks vs. Kid. I'm down to watch Shanks vs. Kid. I also want to watch a bit of Garp versus Aokiji and all of that. I'm definitely going to watch episodes of Luffy versus Kizaru. Anything that I would probably sit down and watch on my own time, I'm definitely going to watch too. Like, I'm going to watch Shanks taking out Kid. Like, I will watch that regardless. I would watch that as a YouTube clip or whatever myself. So I'll definitely watch it as a reaction for you guys instead. Garp, same thing. Luffy, Kizaru, same thing. Gorosei stuff, same thing. There's a lot of content that I would like to watch, you know? Yeah, it's just hard. Saucy Rudy says, we get a brand new Luffy gear 5th move. That's a tricky one, because like Luffy does lots of new gear 5th moves all the time, right? Like it's just, yeah, like, you know, Dawn Gatling just came out. I think that's too broad. Luffy whips out new moves all the time. Not broad, but it's just, you know, it's not interesting. Watch the Stussy scene? Okay, depending on how we are on time with it. Like, we're pretty good on time with this stream so far. I think because this stream, I got it started with the actual topic right off the bat. Normally, this would be the time that I'm starting the actual topic. But if we have time, I'll watch the Stussy scene. We should have time. I'm going to save space for, like, 4 more guesses here. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'll get in 4 more guesses, maybe 5 if we really want to squeeze. 4 more people's guesses. And then after that, maybe I'll watch the Stussy scene. Chris Morales says, prediction, Iron John gets destroyed while protecting Luffy and the others, giving them time to get to the ship. I don't think the Iron Giant's just going to get destroyed next chapter. I think that's a bit drastic. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. 200. Akash Panda. Oh, I missed something? Oh, no, Ishizuku. Never mind. Ishizuku, who did Luffy's Jet Gatling versus Lucci, is animating Garp versus Aokiji. Looking forward to it. You'll enjoy it, I think. Luffy's Jet Gatling versus Lucci is, to date, my favorite sequence in the anime ever. And also probably my favorite scene from anything ever. Genuinely, it fills me with so much emotion. It's very hard to describe. I played that scene. First, I watched that scene when I was in middle school, and I've played that scene to death. I don't go back to watch it now too much as of late, but over the years, I would play that scene to death. It's just such a powerful scene for me. The animation's not as flashy as stuff that happens nowadays, but what it makes me feel and the emotional impact of it, I just find it so beautiful. Really, really, really powerful. I think it's also the best way I've ever seen flashbacks woven into a final attack ever in anything. It's my favorite. It's just my favorite shit ever. Luffy's Jet Gatling versus Lucci. Easily my favorite. And the way it ends with Luffy yelling, like, we're going home together, Robin. Or we're all going back together, Robin. Like, everything about it. The Usopp speech. I think the anime stretches things out a bit because you have the Usopp speech, then it gives a bit of time before we get to the Jet Gatling and everything like that, whereas the manga kind of segues pretty nicely. Speech, little bit of action, Rokugan, Jet Gatling. I think it's tighter in the manga. The anime stretches it out a little bit over the course of the episode, but it's all okay. It's all okay. It still feels really, really powerful altogether. Just my favorite episode of anything ever. I don't know. I love that scene. Favorite scene, favorite episode, all of that. Favorite chapter, everything. Isis1155, thanks a lot for the 5. Morge, I think it's interesting that we didn't get any important character reactions because that means they're going to be bigger reveals that we get them for. I also agree because you don't want to, like, Dragon's reaction to this is going to be more important than, like, let's say Polly's reaction to this, right? So this was more to show the whole world being affected, but the major figures and their reactions, those are the juicy ones that we want to spend more time with. Like, what do they think and how does this affect them? And I think that's why Oda's hiding that. I definitely agree with that. The Jet Gatling with Luffy yelling at the end of the smile. The yelling is just so powerful. I do wonder certain things. Like, One Piece anime is getting a remake, and while I'll always support that idea because I do think that the anime is woefully out of date, and it's just generally not good nowadays, save for a few good clips here and there. I do feel like the voice acting and just certain scenes are just done in a way. I cannot imagine the Jet Gatling scene being done any better. I just can't. And a lot of that is also just the voice acting. Like, the voice acting being done again, the emotion and the yelling. Like, the raw emotion that Luffy's voice actor puts into him yelling is just so like, how do you match that? I don't know. It's something special. Cigar Verk, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 20 months. Always good to see you, man. Small theory: the Mother Flame equals Tiny Sun. Luffy Sun God, true. Okay. Let's piece this out. Luffy Sun God. So Mother Flame is like a tiny sun. Luffy Sun God, true awakened sun powers. Joy Boy did it at Enies Lobby. Has Eternal Day. His last battle versus world government is Luffy's first versus the world government. Oh, so you think Joy Boy's final battle was at Enies Lobby or something? Oh, I see. That's interesting because that does come full circle in that, like, the spot that Luffy declared war against the world government was also the spot where Joy Boy was defeated in theory. That would be really, really cool if that is the case. I don't know what you're saying here with Mother Flame equal Tiny Sun. Do you think that Luffy's going to eat the Mother Flame like some people? I'm not sure. Also, let's get the stream lights up to 200 real quick. But that would be a really cool point. If Joy Boy, like, him being defeated at Enies Lobby coincides with Luffy going to Enies Lobby and, like, declaring war against the world government. That would be really cool. Let's get the stream lights to 200 real quick. Eric JD, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 7 months. Sup, Morge? I've been wondering about the interaction between Gear 5 Luffy and Mother Flame. What if it gives him a power-up? Say his first Gear 5 flame-based attack. So some people have mentioned this. I will always be of the opinion that I would rather that Luffy not eat the Mother Flame to gain new powers, just because, I don't know, it feels like one, I get why it would be fitting, right? Because it would actually, like, it's like Cigar Verk said, Mother Flame is like a tiny sun. Luffy's the sun god. It would just fit. Give him flame powers, right? Be like a living sun, right? It would fit. I just feel personally, like, this is a personal preference thing. I don't like the idea that Luffy needs to eat the Mother Flame. Like, I feel like Luffy has everything he needs now, right? He can fight with the power of his imagination. I like what his abilities are right now. Eating the Mother Flame to kind of go more traditionally Super Saiyan or whatever and just get crazy sun blast powers or whatever you might be thinking, or crazy fire powers. To me, that goes kind of the opposite direction of where Luffy's at right now, where he has great abilities. They're not overtly, obviously, like sun god abilities, but it's the freedom to do whatever he can imagine that makes his abilities so interesting. So I'd rather see him just maximize what he has now, because he has a crazy, crazy ability right now as is. And I don't know. I just don't know how I'd feel about Luffy needing to eat some. Like, I've always enjoyed seeing Luffy push himself and his abilities to grow stronger to win a fight, right? Like, he couldn't beat Crocodile initially, and over the course of a few rounds, he worked on his ability set, right? And figured out different ways to use his abilities. And by the end of the fight, he was able, like, by the end of round 3, he was able to beat Crocodile. Like, against Lucci, he initially was completely outmatched, but he applied his will, his creativity, ingenuity to figure out a way to push his abilities further and beat Lucci. With Kaido, right? Like with Katakuri. Katakuri eventually like working out how to do Future Sight over the course of their battle, and that's how he won. Kaido, same thing. Like, I've always enjoyed that aspect of Luffy. In general, I've always enjoyed that aspect of storytelling as well, where the character actually has to, through their own means, figure out how to defeat the villain by pushing themselves and reaching a new level. I'm never going to enjoy the idea of Luffy just eating the Mother Flame and then just suddenly being super powerful and defeating Imu like that. I just don't think I'll like it. I think it goes against a lot of what we've seen in terms of Luffy's best moments and how he's risen to the occasion in his best moments in the past. It was one of the reasons I never really enjoyed... Like, Nightmare Luffy is a cool concept, right? But I would really have disliked... Like, I like that Luffy had to kind of earn it himself afterwards in the end with Gear 2nd against Moria and everything like that, because I just didn't really feel anything. I thought it was cool. I didn't really feel anything when Luffy beat up Oars with Nightmare Luffy. That's just me personally, maybe. But yeah. Continuing on. Hold on. I'm saying, thanks for the 5, would it be more interesting for Imu to be more gray or a sympathetic villain, or be straight up evil? Do you think he'll be an all-time great villain? So I think, one, I don't think all villains need to be gray or sympathetic to be interesting, or good villains, right? For example, I'll always maintain that my favorite villain in the context of a One Piece arc was Crocodile. And over time, we started to view Crocodile as more gray and sympathetic, right? Post, from Impel Down, Marineford, and on. But in the context of the Alabasta arc, Crocodile was just a giant fucking asshole. And sometimes that's just what's most satisfying to see the hero defeat. Just this dude that's got this master plan, is an asshole to everyone, really cruel, malicious, really, really likes to dig at the protagonists and make them squirm and make them cry, hurt Vivi, really rake them over the coals, and just gain so much satisfaction. Just very sadistic and cruel, right? And seeing Crocodile get his ass kicked like that, it felt good, Later on, now we're maybe a bit more sympathetic to Crocodile's story as we learn a bit more about his past and everything like that, and, get hints that he was once more like, a very ambitious dreamer and everything like that himself. But in the context of the Alabasta arc, I love seeing Crocodile just get his ass kicked, okay? So, I think that Imu, much like I just enjoyed seeing Crocodile get his ass kicked, I enjoyed seeing NL getting his ass kicked, I enjoyed seeing, Lucci getting his ass kicked, right? I don't think Imu needs to be really sympathetic or nuanced. I think we're going to get a villain like that in the form of Blackbeard beforehand, right? I think we're already set to get one of the most complex, most morally gray, nuanced villains ever in manga history with Blackbeard. Oda's clearly writing this character to have many, many layers. He's already made Blackbeard and his ideology feel almost parallel or in line with a lot of Luffy's way of thinking in certain moments, right? Blackbeard is perfect for that. I feel like Imu being more like an NL type character, just this... Because, it's very hard to even imagine how Imu could ever feel actually morally gray or sympathetic, right? Because what is Imu? Imu's this dude that genocides islands, on a whim, because it's close, right? Who has ruled the entire planet and oppressed the entire planet for 800 years, right? This entire shitty system with, slavery, rape, right? That the Celestial Dragons do, randomly, killing off races. All of the stuff that they do, it's all Im, right? I feel like Imu is meant to be just genuinely straight up and up evil. I cannot imagine, he's one of... We know so little about Imu so far, and Imu is already one of the worst, like authoritarian dictatorial figures ever in history, right? Like it's kind of like saying like like if you just are straight up about it, it's kind of just like, do you want someone like Hitler to be a morally gray, sympathetic villain? Obviously, Hitler's a human being. He went to art school and shit, right? So, like, if we delved into Hitler's story, you find some shit there, right? Obviously, but like, do you get what I'm saying in the sense that like I don't think like basically Emu seems more like super Hitler, right? Dictatorial ruler, wiped out entire races, Lunarians, etc. Established a regime that's very, very controlling and oppressive across the entire world, still nukes entire islands just because he feels like it. I don't think this dude, and like he's ruled the world for, again, since literally like history existed, right? And he wiped out the history before he existed. I don't think Emu is supposed to be gray or sympathetic, right? Blackbeard, on the other hand, yes, supposed to be much more gray and sympathetic as far as we can see. Still a bad guy, but there's more nuance to his story and how he's gotten to where he is now. And I think that that's where we'll get some more, some of that morally complex stuff, right? Maybe even Rock, something similar. I don't think Emu is supposed to be like that. Do I think Emu will be an all-time great villain? I don't know if at the end of the day, Emu will be that unique amongst anime manga villains as far as we can tell. I think that Emu could easily be one of the most hated villains in One Piece, but I don't think he'll be one of the most unique villains necessarily ever, just yet. But we also know almost nothing about Emu. So Emu's, like, even if the nature of Emu's character may not be that morally gray or whatever, the story of how he became who he is and how he rose to power could be really interesting. The contrast with Luffy could be really interesting. So we'll see on that. Manifest Joe, thanks for the 5. It's such a stupid joke, but damn, I always laugh and start tearing up at the start of Usopp's speech when Luffy says, Usopp, you came too. Hey, it is fucking funny. It's just like, the situation is so serious. It's so fucking serious. But at the same time, like, Oda's still not going to drop this little joke that Luffy doesn't know who Usopp is. It's just so genuine and sweet. Like, Luffy literally doesn't know that Usopp came with them to Enies Lobby. And Usopp doesn't even fess up that he's Sogeking right then. Like, he could just reveal, like Luffy's about to die. Usopp could be Luffy's like, Usopp, you're here too? Usopp could have been like, Luffy, I was like, I'm Sogeking, I was by your side all along, but he's like, no, I came along to help Robin. Like, they both still, like, he doesn't drop the facade. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 10. JB had a final, okay, so he's expanding on what he said earlier. Joy Boy had a final battle at Enies Lobby, awakened the sun power that the island never has night. I do think that is a really fucking interesting point. World government used Mother Flame weapon, and whatever was saved of that island was saved by the barrier fruit to make an escape route. Oh shit, that's connecting to several things, especially considering Bartolome is like Luffy's #1 follower in the modern day. I do really like that theory overall. The island of never ending day, the giant crater that's there, Enies Lobby being like the last stand of Joy Boy. I think that that's a really, really interesting idea. I like that. Rafael Rizzi Iglesias says Emu can be advanced AI. So Hidden Island has a theory that he put out. It's one of my favorite theories ever about like how a lot of One Piece is influenced by this other story called Music of Marie or something like that. Or at least you can see a lot of similarities there. And AI was the big reveal at the end of that one. Like there's an all-powerful godlike being that turns out to be AI. I view that as an interesting possibility. However, we do also know that Emu was a saint of House Nerona, so it seems like Emu may have been a person rather than an AI. It's hard to say though, right? The possibility is definitely open. I would rather it be a person personally, just because it's more like real. Like there's more of a villain that we can latch onto and dislike rather than a robot, I guess. I don't know. Let's get the stream lights up to 200 real quick. We're almost there. Just 6 more. Isaac St. Charlos, thanks a lot. Can't wait for Robin and Saul to meet. Most readers will be touched by it, but Morge will hate it. It's Morge against the world again, like Raid Fail. Well, this will be different, because this won't be theory-based. This will just be, like, literally just breaking down what happened. I don't know. Like, I don't know. The Saul stuff, I've realized that it's pointless for me to go on rants on it on stream, because I think the last I did, like I've said before, it's better to save for video format, right? The last I talked about it, again, I saw in the comments below people pushing back with arguments that I viewed as tired arguments that kind of missed the point. I've also seen like somebody even comment like, oh, I think when Morge doesn't like something, he says it's bad writing. It's like, no, it's the other way around. When I read something that's bad writing, I don't like it because it's bad writing. You know what I mean? Like, if I read a story and I'm like, oh wait, they completely contradicted their own themes in this or something like that, I'd be like, well, that's bad writing and I don't like it because I don't like it when writing is bad. You know, so that's my view kind of on the Saul thing. It's not like, oh, I dislike that Saul's alive, therefore I'm going to say it's bad writing. It's like, no, this is pretty fucking universally accepted by any, like, you ask any sort of actual, like any sort, look at any sort of like literary standard or whatever, any sort of actual high class literature, like highly regarded literature book or whatever, like it's standard, right? You take any class, whatever, you ask the professor, whatever. It's not good writing to write death scenes where you squeeze a lot of dramatic juice out of them and then reveal them to be fake later on. It's just not good writing. It's straight up not good. And I think a lot of people think that, like, because there's a loophole with ice time capsule and stuff, that therefore it's okay. No. And that, like, the amount of, again, a video will come breaking down why all of that is in a very formatted context when we get to Saul's stuff, but it's one of the clearest examples of, like, this is Mickey Mouse writing ever. Like, it's representative of, like, it's like Oda's greatest strength can also sometimes be his greatest weakness, and that his greatest strength is, like, breaking our hearts. But one of his weaknesses is, like, he doesn't like he feels bad breaking his own heart when he has to do certain things to his characters, so he can kind of lots of times try to have his cake and eat it too, where he tries to step out of like, oh, I'll write this amazing scene for Pel's death, and it's a really strong scene at a perfect time in Alabasta. And then he's like, okay, but I didn't actually want Pel to die, so I'm just going to very quietly bring him back later. Like, it's not good. It's not good. It's fairy tale level bullshit. There's, again, a video there where I can break it down more in depth, but for the moment, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I don't feel like talking about that. I think it's just something that's very... I think if we weren't One Piece fans who, like, love One Piece a lot, you just read it from the outside perspective and try to be objective. Like actually, like, critical of what is and isn't good standard writing practice. You just look at it and be like, oh yeah, this is obviously a fucking terrible scene. But because you're a One Piece fan, it's just like, well, I love Robin, so I just want Robin to be happy. It's like, okay, but that's not... that doesn't excuse what happened, right? Like how we made it there. Like, yeah, you can write a story where you make all the characters happy at the end, and then maybe that can make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, but it can be bullshit how you get there. Growth Stonks, thanks for the 10. The source of any Slobby's light is a huge sunflower attached to Giant Jack and leads back to Adam Tree. Whoa, that's crazy. Not crazy as in wrong, but like that's kind of out of left field. I've never heard that before. Let me read this. In chapter 738, the sad factory uses sunflowers to grow sad fruits in the underground darkness. I wonder if that's related to the fact that, like, you know, there's also sunflower fields, and that's like a big deal in Dressrosa. No, that's really interesting. I completely forgot that that's what that's how that shit works. It's a sunflower attached to Giant Jack leads back to the Adam Tree. I think we don't know enough about the Adam Tree for me to really have intelligent thoughts on that, but that is interesting. If you're right on that, that's a crazy call. I've never thought about that before. If you're right on that, that's insane. Dugman11, thanks for the 5. It would be interesting if Emu was/is not Nerona Emu, but stole that name to hide their true identity. Now we're getting to Jujutsu Kaisen type shit. But that would be interesting. Cigar Verk, that's also kind of like Obito stealing the identity of Madara for a bit. No, he didn't. He just let people think he's Madara for a bit. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. Luffy and Chopper's Zoans still have their features in transformation. Luffy might not have truly awakened, and Chopper seems to have Moon People Fruit. Moon People Fruit? You think Chopper has Moon People? I don't think so, because Chopper doesn't have wings or anything like that. I do think that sometimes Oda might just be a little inconsistent with how he writes Zoans, just for the sake of writing them a certain way. Like one thing that Luffy mentions is that Kaido, like, for example, I think we're supposed to interpret that Kaido still has dragon scales in his human form. The reason I say that is because, so when Luffy's hitting Kaido in Act 1 and having a lot of trouble damaging him, in Udon, Usopp, like, Luffy's talking about, I need to work on my armament hockey to get past Kaido's dragon scales. And Luffy's referring to the fact that even in human form, Luffy couldn't hurt Kaido. But it doesn't make sense. Why would you have dragon scales in your human form? I don't know. Maybe mythical zoans just work slightly different. Maybe it's the same reason that Luffy does it. Luffy's body is rubber even in his human form, you know? I think Marco, for example, Marco's in his human form, but if he gets shot with stuff, he still regenerates. Like shot or hit or whatever, he still regenerates. So he's kind of always retaining his Phoenix Flame abilities. Maybe, yeah, so maybe it's more of a mythical zoan type thing. It doesn't explain Chopper's features being different, but maybe that's because Chopper's an animal, and how zoan fruits work when animals eat them versus humans is a little different. It also, by the way, begs the question of like, so humans are generally, like, the vast majority of devil fruits are eaten by humans, right? As far as we know, Chopper is one of the few animals to have eaten a devil fruit, period. Which is really weird because there's way more animals than humans in the world, so wouldn't animals come across devil fruits and still eat them? You know? And it just so happens that the only animal that ate a devil fruit, he happened to eat the human fruit. Kind of random, but, you know, it's funny. ZMP323. Wait a second. People bringing up... no, whatever. Okay, ZMP323, thanks for the 5. The broadcast is terminated as Vegapunk says the Ancient Kingdom's name. So Robin taps in with the help of Lilith and says it to the world in his place. Okay, I could see that. Robin taps in with the... no, I feel like... Okay, if you want to say the... Okay, I'm going to put down your prediction as the broadcast is terminated next chapter. I'll put down that as your prediction. I do think the other stuff with Robin, etc., I don't like because I feel like Robin should discover it herself rather than just hear it from Vegapunk, right? That's what makes her an archaeologist. She wouldn't be much of an archaeologist if like her archaeology is just hearing what Vegapunk said. In that case, fucking Frankie is an archaeologist. They can all hear what it is. Unless you're saying down the line, Robin reads the name of the Ancient Kingdom and then reveals it to everybody. I don't know why revealing the name of the Ancient Kingdom is going to be that important, though, to the people of the world. It would just be kind of like, okay, so it's called Binks or something. What does that mean for us? I think it's more important to the reader, most likely. Oh, I'll say this real quick. Because people are talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm gonna talk about Jujutsu Kaisen and a recent reveal for one moment. I'm gonna put up 2 fingers. Once I put the 2 fingers down, I'm done talking spoilers, right? So as long as I have these 2 fingers up, I'm talking Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay? So very briefly. So it seems as though a major death. While I have the fingers up, right? Spoilers. Last chance. Okay? It seems as though a major death, Gojo's, has been revealed to be false in Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay? I don't think that's anywhere close to as bad as the deaths that Oda does in One Piece, because Gojo's death, like, people really don't get the actual problem with bringing characters back to life. Like, people have this, like, people view it as plot based. Like, oh, if you don't set it up, like, it's not plot based. Death in storytelling is about drama. It's dramatic storytelling. Okay, it's dramatic storytelling. That's what it is. That's the purpose of death generally in storytelling, right? It's drama. Okay, so people are like, oh, Oda, it's okay if Oda says this is, like, this character survived because Oda wrote in some, like, sneaky little path to them coming back way back when or something like that, right? That's not the point. What matters when it comes to death in storytelling is how much you try and squeeze dramatic juice out of it. With Gojo's death, it wasn't a fucking dramatic, sad death. There was no, like, nobody's reading, like, well, I guess some readers are really just attached to Gojo, so when Gojo dies, they're really sad about it. But, like, compare Gojo's death to, like, Ace's death. When Ace died, he had a full chapter crying, his emotions, Luffy's emotions, everybody's emotions, sad, flashbacks, yada, yada, yada. The whole waterworks coming out during Ace's death, right? Then Ace dies. If after that, Oda pulls out some bullshit reason as to why Ace can come back to life or something, then, oh shit, that's really bad fucking storytelling because you already squeezed so much emotional juice out of it. Gojo's death, it was nothing. It was like, Gojo dies, it's shocking for the reader. We see Gojo at a fucking train station or whatever, and he's talking to his friends and everything, but it's not written to be a particularly dramatic scene. The author doesn't try to squeeze any dramatic juice out of it. It's just written as though, oh, it's more the shock value a bit of reflection from Gojo as to having realized that he's not the strongest, stuff like that. And then we literally move straight on to Kashimo fighting, right? Gojo's death is a shock value type thing, drastic twist for the plot, but it's not a very emotional scene. It's not written to be a very emotional scene. It's not written to be a very heartbreaking scene or something like that. If you're trying to break the reader's heart based on the premise that you are killing off a character, and then you do that scene and then reverse it later on, that's cheating. That's what's basically poor writing by most literary standards. Just revealing that Gojo got fixed by whatever, Shoko or something like that, thanks to advanced jujutsu or whatever, that's just another plot twist. First plot twist was Gojo dying, right? And the implications of that for the stakes for the characters, right? That, oh no, now their champion has lost. And then Gojo being revealed to have survived and being back in the story now, that's just another plot twist, right? There's no emotional, you're not cheating the reader really in terms of trying to break their hearts with a very sad, dramatic character death in the first place. So I don't think anything of Gojo being brought back to life. It's not the same as the Saul shit or like Pell or any of the like Pound scene or anything like that. Those are scenes where the entire chapter is built around a very, very, like, trying to make the reader cry over a character dying and then pulling the rug out from us later and being like, he, but it never actually happened, but I still made you really sad, right? And that's the problem. So very, very different. Oda's obviously a much better writer than Jujutsu Kaisen's author, Geiji, right? However it's pronounced. But this is not a good example of saying, like, Jujutsu Kaisen is a Mickey Mouse series. Like, so many other characters have been dying. Jujutsu Kaisen, clearly the author is okay with killing characters. Bringing Gojo back doesn't make it a Mickey Mouse series. And it's not bad writing in the first place because, like, he didn't do much with Gojo's death in the first place. If anything, it was almost like Gojo's death felt particularly it lacked the drama and emotional weight that it theoretically should have had. But that's correct because Gojo wasn't meant to die right there. Gojo's supposed to come back, right? Anyway, done talking about that. Alec Gunter says, so basically what you're saying is you want all the characters to die? Got it. No, I literally said what just happened in Jujutsu Kaisen is okay. What is bad is when death scenes are done with the attempt to break the reader's heart, when you're working with the emotions of a death scene, right? When you're not really trying to invoke the emotions of a death scene, then yeah, it's fucking standard that, like, you fake out a reader fake out a viewer, whatever in movies, like, oh no, this character died. Okay, but they actually survived, right? As long as you're not trying to dig in and actually emotionally sell it to the reader and try and get like a really emotional scene out of it, as long as you're not trying to do that, then as long as you have a decent logical explanation for the character coming back, it's generally okay, and that's standard. What isn't done is death scenes the way that Oda does it, where he like really fucking milks the emotions of it, like let's say Pound or something, and then a little while later he's like, okay, but the character survived though. Right? That's what's fairy tale bullshit. I think people don't get that aspect of it, or they don't really either haven't read enough or watched enough to really realize and distinguish the difference, because it happens all the time in fucking movies, TV shows, etc., where momentarily you're made to think a character died, but then it's revealed that that's not the case. What doesn't happen in good stories, in good movies, TV shows, books, etc., is writing dramatic, sad, heartbreaking scenes that really pull out the emotion of a death and then reversing it later on. That doesn't happen in any good movie, TV show, book, etc. That just doesn't happen. It's not a thing. One Piece is literally the only great story written by a phenomenal author that I know of that does that on the regular. Otherwise, it's shit like Fairy Tail that does stuff like that. Anyway. Moving on. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. What if Luffy has a vision of sorts of Imu and it makes Luffy start taking steps to prepare for the battles ahead? Wano is the land of the rising sun. Luffy having visions of Imu, I don't think that's, there's nothing concrete enough, I think, from what's happening recently to suggest that Luffy would have visions of Imu. Also, Luffy usually isn't the type of character to, like, start really prepping for the battle ahead unless he's already lost the villain in some way. Like, Luffy loses to Lucci or Luffy loses to Kaido or something. That's when he really gets geared up. Because heading into it, Luffy was like, I'm just going to take out Kaido in Act 1. Didn't work. That's when he started prepping. Tomahawk PWPT, thanks for the 10. Not to mention, Saul being alive is going to lead to an Ohara redux between Robin, Kuzan, and Saul, unlikely Elbaf because the Ohara books are there. Them having a reunion would be really interesting. That trio of characters, considering how far things have come. I think that the writing there could be interesting. I definitely think that interesting writing could come from Saul. I just think that it's a shame that it's at the expense of the previous best backstory in One Piece, in my opinion. JWP, thanks for the 5. Imagining the devil fruits lost in the ocean getting eaten by fish who then just sink to the ocean floor and die. Holy shit. That would be sad. I wonder how many devil fruits actually fall into the ocean floor. Yokai Gota says Geiji can't do emotion well. True, so fingers up for a moment, just talking again spoilers-wise. I also think it is true that Geiji can't do emotion well, so maybe Geiji thought that Gojo's death was very emotional and heartbreaking or something like that, even though nothing was done to make it that way. And then they reversed it, in which case it's bad. But as it stands, as I'm reading it, no, I did not feel like we were meant to feel any sort of I did not feel like we were like a heartbreaking tearjerker scene was being written. In fact, I felt like the death was done about as matter-of-fact as possible. If you recall, most readers were complaining that it was just done so offhandedly, right? There was almost no emotion associated with it, and right after it's just like, okay, now Kashimo's fighting. There was nothing to it, which is why, because the author is not trying to write a death scene in sort of that dramatic sense, and you're not really cheating the reader by manipulating or selling them a lie to get a certain emotional reaction, right? The author did not do that. I think it's okay for Gojo to come back because it's just that was a plot twist, reversed with another plot twist. That's okay. It's just a plot twist. It's just a narrative development. It's not a sort of deeply emotional, gut-wrenching, cuts through the reader sort of a scene. Meek, thanks a lot. Can I still add a prediction? Sure, we got a few more spots. If so, regarding the reactions to the broadcast, we're getting all of the Yonko's reactions next chapter to whatever Joy Boy related lore is dropped by Vegapunk. Okay, so, I deleted this earlier, but there was a rule that we're not just saying character reactions are not allowed, because it's kind of assumed that, it has to be a bit more of a bold prediction, because character showing more shots of characters reacting, that's just kind of obviously on the table. It's the same way as, if you said Vegapunk continues his speech, that's a little too broad, you know? I think it has to be something specific, if you said Dragon decides to head to Egghead, based on Vegapunk's speech. That's specific enough that we would throw it in, but I think that's a little too broad what you just mentioned for me to want to throw it in. Amon talks says, I like to use Mufasa's example if he returned to ruins the Lion King. Yeah, so if you recall, I did a podcast after I did my first, in the Morgecast after I did the first Saul video on why Saul coming back is bad. In the Morgecast, I used several examples, and Mufasa is one of the biggest ones I use as basically an example. It's obviously bad, right? You don't need to be too critically minded to understand that it's obviously bad. D, thanks a lot. Naruto and Boruto had the worst fake-out death ever. I heard about Kurama. I agree that from what I've heard about it, it's really shitty. I'm saying, thanks a lot. Would you like/dislike Emu being rocks? I think that makes no sense to me, but if Oda's able to sell it in a way that makes sense, then I think that could be really interesting. Alec Gunter, thanks for the 2. Was JK about characters dying? Sorry, love you. Okay, it's all good. I'm not actually how to explain this? Sometimes I'm just reading and I'm seeing certain things and I'm not upset about the comment, but it's more just it makes me want to reiterate my point or make sure that what I'm saying is clear. So it's not like I'm reading that and being oh no, Alec Gunter said this. It's just okay, if I see something I'm I'm being misunderstood, then I want to elaborate a little bit further. Red Agrid, thanks for being a Yonko to your member for 6 months. Enjoyed last week's video. I thought last week's video was pretty cool about the Mother Flame and everything like that. Excited for more of your analysis videos. Is the wait for the Wano video going to be like R.R. Martin's Winds of Winter? No, because two things. I'm pretty sure I'll have a window to finish it before Egghead Island wraps, so that's good. And then the other thing is also me and my editor also want a vacation, And dropping the Wano video, it's going to be like a longer video, so it'll fill up like 2 weeks of time. So probably the week I drop the Wano video, I won't drop a video the next week. So I also want a vacation. So just for me getting a vacation from doing channel stuff, that's a good little incentive to do the Wano video. So I think I'll have a window to finish writing and everything like that for that pretty soon. I do think it'll be done before Egghead. Zolden, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morge, I think it'd be cool to see you do a game tier list after you play Elden Ring. It would be fun, but I haven't played a ton of games. So it's like single player games. So it would be a short list. Like, let me think off the bat. Like, I played the Zelda games, obviously. I played FromSoft games recently. I played like God of War, but didn't finish it. Like, it's a short list. It's a pretty short list. I've got a long list of games I want to play, but short list of games that I have played. So it would be a short list. I could do a tier list of like FromSoft games I've played or Zelda games or something if you want to keep it a little tighter. Dougman11, thanks a lot. Prediction, some of Joy Boy's crew is revealed and potentially some of the crew end up betraying him and founding the world government. Shit, betrayal in Joy Boy's crew? I'm going to put that down as a possibility. That's actually really interesting. I never thought about that. Because people were like, oh, what if Lily was a traitor? But I'm like, oh, but Lily helped in the end, right? Lily's actually a big reason that the Will of D even passed on. So I don't know about that as much. But if somebody else betrayed, it's revealed Joy Boy's crew betrayed him. Dougman11. Oops. Husam Hashmi says Chowcho's owner might be secretly alive. I can't lie. That's one I hope that the owner would be alive. That'd be nice. Good for Choo-Choo. I'd only make an exception for that. Luca CC says you should play Lies of P. I'm probably going to play Bloodborne before I play Lies of P. I need a PlayStation at some point. I personally believe that Bloodborne will get a remaster revealed next year. So I'm holding out hope because that's its 10th anniversary as far as I know. Kirby and Hale's Jotaris' prediction Joy Boy's dream is revealed. I could see that. It's probably the same as Luffy's dream. Meek, thanks a lot. I'm using yen because I'm in Japan for trip. I was curious about that. Can I pivot to Blackbeard hears this and starts to make his move to Wano to take Pluton thinking he's Joy Boy. I can put that down. Blackbeard decides to make his move to Wano to get to Pluton. I can do that. Decides to make a move on Wano to get Pluton. Ace is alive, says spoiler. I'm not going to lie. Sabo being revealed to be a thing is like the closest Oda could get to Ace being alive without Ace actually turning out to be alive. Although I've come to like Sabo's, or appreciate Sabo's character more for what it stands for individually, rather than just as an offshoot of Ace. Chris Morales says, you should play another Crab's Treasure. It's a new Souls-like, and not as long, but it's up there with the best ones, to be honest. Again, I'm probably, like, let me tell you right now. My goals, gaming-wise, if you can have gaming goals, my goals are basically finish Tears of the Kingdom. I would love to somehow squeeze in Bloodborne before I play Elden Ring, but it looks like that's very difficult to make happen. Tears of the Kingdom, I think I'm so close, I probably would just need one solid day to play it. Because the temples don't take that... No, like a day and a half or something. I don't know how... No, actually, I could just go straight to Ganondorf, I'm pretty sure, but I don't want to do that. I want to do the last temple. I think I just need one solid, like, little weekend to finish it. Weekends recently, I've been doing stuff lately that are pretty packed. So Tears of the Kingdom, I want to finish... Then I'd like to play Elden Ring before I play Bloodborne, but it looks like I'm going to... Or, like, Bloodborne before I play Elden Ring, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to. So maybe after Tears of the Kingdom, maybe I want to play Baldur's Gate 3 also, but I just don't know if I'm going to have time for that. And Unwilling Zebra, thank you for the 5, and congrats on your first super. I appreciate it. What are you talking about? Okay, hold on. I got to put fingers up because there's spoilers involved in this. I'm putting fingers up, all right? So fingers up. I'm talking about spoilers right here. Geiji meant to write Gojo's death as an emotional scene with the airport scene. He just failed at drawing any emotion from it. I view this as, we could argue about this, but, like, in terms of all the emotional scene, like, you've seen death scenes written before. Like, there's not, it was written about as matter-of-factly as possible, right? I really don't think that, like, you probably are meant to feel some degree of emotion as, like, a sort of, like, sense of shock, some sense of, you know, reflective sadness or something like that, right? But it was done about as matter-of-factly as possible, especially if, like, if you're writing it to be a fake death scene, one where the character comes back, it is a very underplayed level of emotion to go for, right? You can at least agree on that, right? A very underplayed level of emotion. It's just showing the character's not too torn up. Gojo's not that sad. He's saying hi to his friends, etc. He's reflecting, and he's almost satisfied with it, and he goes off on his way. It's a very underplayed. It's about as underplayed level of emotion as you can ask for like a death scene that would be attempting to not go too hard on emotion, but at the same time, like, not just skip to the very next thing of, like, Kashimo joining, right? Like, if you got to do something to simply, like, give some level of, you know, contemplative character reflection for Gojo's death, that's about the bare minimum, right? You don't have characters in fucking tears. You don't have anything, like, particularly, like, there's nothing particularly hard hitting in that entire airport scene. I think it's a stretch to say that Geije was trying to write a really deeply sad, tragic, emotional scene right there with the, like, I think that's being a little disingenuous. If you genuinely think that, like, because we've seen Geije try and do emotional scenes before that just don't hit, I think, throughout the series. I think the airport scene is about as underplayed and low-key as you can do for a sayonara to a character like Gojo, where even Gojo's not too upset about it. Even Gojo's just like, call it like it is or whatever. Like, there's very little to that scene that suggests that, because you can compare it to other death scenes that have happened in Jujutsu Kaisen. That's about as underplayed as it gets, right? About as underplayed as it gets compared to other things. We've seen characters react, like, even just the character reactions, right? A lot of the drama of death scenes and what feels emotional or heartbreaking about death scenes is the reactions of characters that are being left behind. Even there's very little to anything from outside characters, right? It's just like, fuck, Gojo lost. All right, Kashimo's up next. But it's not like some sort of tearjerker or anything like that. Like, it's not nearly the same as other series. That's my take on it. D with a good point. How about Gandalf's fake-out death? And with this, it depends a lot if you've actually read The Lord of the Rings. If you've read The Lord of the Rings, then you know that the manner in which The Lord of the Rings is written in is more like a history book than anything else. It's more like a history book. The characters are not particularly... and it's a really great read, but it's not written like... like, The Lord of the Rings is very much more like... It's closer to... Like, saying, what about Gandalf's death? Wasn't that a bad scene? It's kind of like almost saying, like, well, what about Jesus being, like, dying in the Bible and then coming back 3 days, right? That's very different in the sense that the manner of writing is more just recounting historical events almost. It's not like, you're not, how do I say? It's not like a very vivid character, like character-based story. You would understand if you're reading The Lord of the Rings. It really is just recounting historical events, honestly. Like, it's more old school narration, right? So even in The Lord of the Rings, the books themselves, when Gandalf dies, it's supposed to be a heavy moment for the narrative, but you're not digging deep into the emotions of the scene in the same sense, where, like, the feelings of each character in the same sense, what the characters are saying, etc. With the movies, because the movies are kind of trying to bring the books to life, and the movies have to be a bit more grounded and real with how they're treating the characters and everything like that. You can't just have a whole movie that feels like a narration of events. With the movies, they had a tricky situation where they do have to do this moment where Gandalf dies, and they do have to draw some level of emotion from it. And then Gandalf comes back in the next movie, right? I don't think that's good. But it gets a pass because it's Lord of the Rings. It's Lord of the Rings, the original. It's drawing from source material that is not meant to be... that was in the first place meant to be in movie format, in live action format or anything like that. It's meant to be more read as sort of like very detached, almost historical. Like, that's a big part of The Lord of the Rings. Reading it, there is a distance between the reader and the events of the narratives. It's supposed to be much more detached recounting of events than something like, let's say, a Game of Thrones or something like that, if that makes sense. D says, how about Gandalf and Jon Snow's fake-out deaths? Again, Jon Snow's fake-out death, I think, was never written to be particularly tragic or sad, right? If you want a particularly tragic or sad fake-out death, there's other scenes in Game of Thrones that are more like that. Jon Snow's fake out death, it's more shock value, and it's kind of hinted at that he can come back like off the bat, right? You're not reading Jon Snow's fake out death and thinking it's being written like Pound's death or Saul's death or anything like that. So Jon Snow's fake out death is done probably just about perfectly. There's very little like it's not trying to milk a lot of emotional juice out of it. The Judas story. Now we're getting the Jesus stuff. All right, guys. Amon talks as Catelyn Stark comes back in the books, right? Yeah, but not as herself, which I think is fair. If she's coming back as sort of like a not possessed, but like a zombie version of herself that is like heartless and cold and like basically a different person, that's very different. That's not like, nobody's reading that like, oh boy, Catelyn Stark is back, yay. It's very different. Raffi DeGoat says George R. R. Martin would want to ask Tolkien why he brought back Gandalf. Yeah, and like that's the difference in the way the two writers think. I obviously think that Tolkien overall is a much better writer than Martin, because Martin didn't fucking plan his series, whereas Tolkien thought out everything much, much more meticulously. But, you know. And Unwilling Zebra says, all this sounds super objective as to what you find emotional. Super objective. You mean subjective. But also, there's just a difference in writing styles that you can also pick up on. Some of it is like, yeah, some of it's subjective, but like you can also like, you don't have to play dumb. You can call it as you see it. Like when you read like Ace's death chapter, right? You read that chapter, you read what's happening. Characters in tears, characters bemoaning their past, their struggles, lots of I love yous, characters breaking down in the background, yelling, screaming. So much, the chapter in itself, the emotion is palpable in the chapter because it resonates through all of the characters, right? Thank you for loving me. You cannot read Ace's chapter and say, oh, the author wasn't really trying to put much effort into writing an emotional death scene right there, right? The author clearly is trying to. I don't think that's a difficult thing to argue, you know? Oh, I may have missed your super. Let me see. What did I miss? Hussam Hashmi. No, I covered it. Choo Choo's Owner. I covered that one. I covered Choo Choo's Owner. Unless it's one before that, but I covered that one. Dabalara Lee says, I will just say for Gage, it's tricky because he doesn't spend much time on emotional stuff. Yeah, and I think that's overall like a bigger flaw of the series. Which is, I don't think Jujutsu Kaisen will ever emotionally move me. And I do think stories should, like, I think part of stories is, they should feel emotionally moving in some sense. Marquez Perez, thanks for the 5. How do you think Luffy and the ancient energy source Vega tried to recreate with the Mother Flame correlate? How do I think Luffy and the ancient energy source Vega... Oh, you got to watch the whole... I strongly recommend you watch my latest video because it goes in-depth into that topic. I promise. It goes very in-depth into that topic. I don't think that we know exactly what the ancient energy source is, but in short, I'll say I think it's something that Joy Boy discovered in his era. Ramen Power makes a good point. Emotion itself is subjective, but there are objective elements of the story, such as the words on the page and the characters in tears, that show the author's intent objectively. And that's true. Author intent is objective. And I can say firmly that, like, there are plenty of scenes in One Piece where it is clear that Oda is trying to get an emotional reaction out of the reader. I read the scene with, quick spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen. I read this, as long as my fingers are up, spoilers are going on. I read the scene with Gojo, and I don't think that we're not supposed to not feel any emotion because obviously a character just died, and it's it's the most beloved character in the series. So like it seems as though it would warrant emotion, but you read that chapter, and it is fairly like this isn't me just saying it. Many readers at the time were just talking about how abrupt, calloused Gojo's death was, because it felt very, very casual and matter of fact in how it happened, the way Gojo, like the way the reactions were to it in chapter, etc., and how quickly we kind of moved on and brushed it under the rug. I compare that to, like, even I'd have to go back to earlier scenes in Jujutsu Kaisen, but I think even in the Shibuya arc, right, and even before that, like Yuji with that friend that he made at school and stuff like that, there are scenes where you can tell that Geisha, as an author, even if he's not particularly good at it, is putting more effort into trying to write out a dramatic, emotional scene, I think. Dramatic, emotional, tragic scene. With Gojo's death, a big part of it was readers talking about how callous it felt like the author handled it and how blunt it was and how the author didn't even like Gojo because they just moved on from it so quickly and easily, and how there wasn't much effort made out of such a beloved character's death. Right? Okay. We're probably gonna call stream right about here. Unless anything else. Heaven says might have missed my super chat, Morge. Okay, let me just double check. Oh, whoops. Yeah. My bad. Heaven, thanks for the 10. I wouldn't say Saul being alive is at the expense of Ohara's integrity. I feel like it changes the meaning of Kuzan's actions and adds more speculation to his endgame. So, again, it's layered because there are good aspects to Saul's death. But I think you can have all of those aspects still remain without, like, how to say that? It's not, like, my complaint is never going to be even that Saul, like, Oda pretended to kill Saul and bring him back. My complaint is always going to be that an emotional death send-off was written for him. It's the emotions that Oda wrote into that scene, right? It's writing that whole scene with Saul in tears, Robin saying, like, I'm losing you forever or whatever, I've got no friends after you, yada, 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 Saul crying, the final laugh, the smile painted on his face seemingly permanently, all of that. Like, just the breakdown of that whole scene, don't write it like that. That's my whole thing. Just don't write that. Just do, like, if you want to do something like, the way fucking Vegapunk died without any sort of fanfare or whatever, sure, you can do that. Like, that's fine. Then bring him back later. That's fine. That's good stuff for plot, character writing for Aokiji, etc. You can have good consequences, like adding more to Kuzan's story, things like that. The problem is always going to remain writing a death scene that is emotionally harrowing, right? And very, very clearly meant to be a tearjerker for the audience, and then revealing 700 chapters later that, like, you lied there. That's never going to be good. It can have, like, it can spawn other things that are good, but because you dug into the emotion there, that in itself, it's just cheating as an author. It just plain and simple is. If you write a death scene and then reverse it later on because you didn't really do that much emotionally for that death scene, that's fine. Like, if Oda revealed in a little bit that Vegapunk is somehow still alive or something like that through having some backup body, it's not a big deal because Oda didn't really do anything emotionally for Vegapunk's death scene in the first place. It's about the premise behind which you're writing an emotional scene for the reader. That's what matters, right? Character fake death, like character death being fake, being reversed later on, that shit happens all the time. It just does in stories, movies, everywhere, right? What isn't usually good is if you go hard on writing the dramatic emotions of that scene and then reversing it later on. That's what's bad. So I think that still might not be coming through in my explanations on this. Maybe I'm still just not being clear. But you can still have that shit. If you wanted to have Aokiji just sell ice time capsule or something like that, and then Saul's just frozen, and then Robin's like, oh no, Saul's, like, if you skip all of the emotional aspects and just have Aokiji freeze Saul, ice time capsule, and then the story moves on as is, I would have no problem. Seriously. It would just be like a nice reveal later on down the line. It's the fact that the scene was written in the manner that it was. It's the manner in which that supposed death was written that is the problem. Moving on. Oh, we still got some more. Hold on, we still got some more. Let me double check, make sure I'm not missing anything. Back here. JWP says, just got revealed Zoro's novel isn't supervised by Oda? What? Zoro's novel isn't supervised by Oda, so it's just BS? Wait, can anyone confirm? Is Zoro's novel not being written by Oda? No, not written, but supervised by Oda? Okay, someone please confirm or deny that, because that's a big deal. Because I was very much looking forward to that one. John Lowe, thanks for the 20, man. While I see your point and can't argue against it, I think it's a bit of hyperbole to equate Saul with Will of P and Wano fakeouts. Saul's was in a backstory while he was clearly set up for the current storyline as a D. I mean, I don't want to keep going over this same point. I will say that, one, I think Saul's being in a backstory hurts more for me personally. I think because backstories was, like, one, it affects the... Backstories was kind of the one place where we could at least believe in the sanctity of death, because it was kind of the safe space for serious, like, permanent writing decisions, because we already knew, like, from a long time we could tell that Oda really hesitated to kill characters in the current story, right? Like, Pell was, like, Oda didn't kill anybody first, like, 200 plus chapters, like, we had so many fake outs, like Igarum dying and stuff like that. By the way, like, Igurum's a good little example of where I don't think a fake out death is bad, right? Character dies, we spend like a moment on it, but Oda's not milking Igurum's death for a full chapter. It's just Igurum dead. Oh no, that's a plot twist. It's a shock. It's a bit of a downer for the moment, but nobody's crying and upset when Igurum's like brought back later on as though like Oda's committed sacrilege or something like that. It's just like, oh shit, like what we thought happened didn't actually happen. That's fine. That shit's common in storytelling. Oda does do that more often than other authors, but you know, it's just the way the story goes, right? What is a problem is something like Pell's death, again, where now it's a full chapter with tears and emotion and flashbacks and just like long internal monologues about like protecting the country and like giving your life and all that stuff. And then, you know, like everyone's in shock, like a whole chapter fucking devoted to it and milking the emotion out of the reader, and then that's revealed to be fake, right? That's why there's a big difference between Igurum's death and Pell's death. A lot of people don't even fucking remember Igurum's death fake out versus Pell's death fake out, because the difference is fucking Pell's death fake out was a fucking milked out, long drawn out emotional dramatic scene, right? So, point being, again, I drifted a little bit there, so got off topic, but we did get used to the idea that at least we can trust Oda with death in flashbacks, because we get it. He doesn't like killing characters in the main story. It took like 580 chapters, 575 chapters before he did it with like Ace and Whitebeard. We get it. He didn't like that, but we could at least trust backstories to kind of be like, okay, he's going to go through with permanent stuff here because it's in the past, right? If it's in the past, then we can deal with it. I don't like that Saul now kind of breaks even that rule, because it's just like, you know, technically we have very little reason to trust that any of the deaths and backstories even count now, you know? Technically. Maybe Bellamere was in a fucking basement all along, like in the 4Kids dub, but, you know, I get it. Ice Time Capsule, we had more of a hint, at least with Saul, but it does open the window. Like, Oda can always pull out bullshit. We know with, like, Kinemon and stuff like that, but he can always pull out something. So I personally dislike that it was in a backstory more than anything, because at least, like, to me, it like, nothing's sacred anymore in sort of the death category. Like, we can even go back in time and reverse shit from, like, 20 years ago. Wano fakeouts I don't even view as bad, a lot of them, because Kinemon's death I don't think was a particularly dramatic death scene in the first place. It flew by like that. It was like in a few pages, like it just was very, very quick. I don't think we lingered on it really. I didn't feel anything when Kinemon died. I don't know if anybody really felt that much when Kinemon died in the first place. I don't think, as far as many death scenes go, like I think you can compare Kinemon's death to like Pell's death. Oda put a lot more effort into Pell's death. So Kinemon's death scene I actually view as one of the more excusable ones, because Oda didn't try to milk it too much. I don't think he tried to milk it too much. So when Kinemon's alive and kicking later on, I think the reason is kind of silly and bullshit. But I also didn't feel as though Oda really went in ham on Kinemon's death in the first place. Flip side, I think the deaths that did actually happen, like fucking Izzo and Ashura Doji, Oda should have milked more, because it's like, these are your actual deaths. You know, these are the moments of consequence in the story. Why are you not going hard on these? But, you know, it is whatever. Kiku's death is cringe, because Kiku had a whole ass, like, pseudo-Shakespearean monologue to go out, and I'm just like, what? Like, this is cringe. Like, this is, because the monologue in itself is really poorly done. And so then to reverse it, I think is just really, really cringe. But But yeah, like that's, again, if you can see what I'm getting at, like having anything that's like really trying to draw it out, draw out emotion, try and dramatize it, etc., and then reversing that because the death didn't actually happen, I will always view that as bad. Something short, simple, like an Igaram fake out death or something like that, that's then revealed to be false because Robin actually isn't that bad of a person. It's cool. It's like whatever. It's like it's not like, oh no, Igaram, that like heart-wrenching scene where Igaram died, like you're telling me that was a lie, that never happened, you tricked us. It's like, who gives a fuck? It's like, oh, Igaram's still alive. Okay, cool. Deshaun Comedy, thanks for the 2. When are you going to finish Attack on Titan? How's the Haikyuu watch? I've not, I don't know when I'll finish Attack on Titan. At some point I want to, just to find out how it ends. Haikyuu, I have not progressed any further either. And still Fire Punch I want to read. But I'm probably going to watch some Haikyuu tonight. I'm feeling some Haikyuu tonight. Just had a busy week last week. Tim, thanks for the 2. Excited for new Hunter x Hunter chapters? Any predictions? I was really fucking loving the boat arc that we are currently on. Thank you, by the way. I noticed that this is your 3rd super, so I really appreciate that. I was really enjoying the current arc that we're on. I think it's shaping up to become my favorite Hunter x Hunter arc, which is saying a lot, because I fucking love the Commandant arc. I did not enjoy the latest stuff that we were getting into with the most recent batch of chapters. I didn't think that those were great. I didn't think that those were great, personally. So I'm a little iffy on those. I do think that, I don't know. We know that Togashi likes to take his time with setup and everything like that. There's sections in the Commandant arc that are very slow, but lead to beautiful writing payoffs. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm not super excited for... I'm excited for the concept of Hunter x Hunter returning in general, but I'm not excited for the specific next batch of chapters because I don't know if like they'll be that good to me or like that interesting to me. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I want Hunter x Hunter to come back and just be coming out regularly in general. I imagine I'm not going to care too much for the next section of the story too much, but, you know, it is what it is. All right. Manny says, basically, Oda wants to bake a cake and eat it too with the deaths. He's good at making them dramatic, but he sucks at pulling through. Yes, and the problem, the catch-22 with deaths, is what makes them dramatic is pulling through. Like, the concept of death, what makes it dramatic is permanence. That's the definite, like, that's what makes death death in real life and obviously in storytelling. It's just cheating to use the idea of permanence without actually following through on the idea of permanence. That's the problem in a nutshell. That's all I gotta say. And again, if you still got stuff to say in the comments or whatever about it, let's just wait till Elbaf. I'll do a full, long-ass structured video on it, you know? Yusuf Anka says, really? Phantom Troop's backstory was so solid? Let me think. So, Phantom Troop backstory, we got... Oh, spoilers. Hunter x Hunter spoilers as long as my fingers up. Phantom Troop backstory, that's not so much... But I think everything that's been going on the lower levels, I think now we're verging on a case of potentially too many characters and too many little plot lines and stuff like that, where I felt like what was going on in the upper decks, right? The important decks, the princess levels and everything like that, I felt like that stuff was pretty much, in my opinion, like... I found it close to fucking perfect. I know some people thought it was too much writing and dialogue, which actually is kind of valid in some instances because you never want superfluous writing, which was sometimes the case. But overall, I felt like the plotting of it was really, really great. Plotting and setup. I feel like the lower decks have been generally less interesting to me, and we've been coming across some less interesting groups of characters, little conflicts, things like that. I imagine the setup's going to be really good, but that's just how I feel at the moment. So I'm not eager to get back to the lower levels, which is where I know we're going to get to. And then on top of that, the Phantom Troop backstory, I think solid is the right word for it. I think people just I like the Phantom Troop. I think we're all really used to like some really great character writing in Hunter x Hunter in general. The Phantom Troop backstory was solid, but it wasn't... I think for me it was missing two things. I don't think at the end of the day it was that emotionally affecting. I think it was good. It helped humanize the characters in their past, but I don't think I think the climax was very, very, very predictable. I think we all saw it, like, there wasn't anything like particularly, like, one thing I love about Oda's backstory is that even if we all know where it's going to end up, like, oh, this, like, Bellemir's going to die or something like that, like, I think Oda's really, really good at still hitting us with escalations and surprises along the way. Like, Robin's backstory, like, we know it ends with O'Hara's collapse, but like just experiencing it all, from like Clover dying, her mom coming back, her scene with her mom, her scene with Saul, the entire island, the civilian ships, like just the extent of everything and the way it all plays out. It's just so powerful, and it just keeps ramping and ramping. The Phantom Troop backstory, I felt like it was a lot of build-up with a very expected and simple payoff, and I don't think he really dug into... I think writing a very dramatic scene that like gets the reader crying and everything like that, I think that is a very, very difficult art to do, and I think a lot of it comes down to what you can have them say, the types of reactions you can get from them. I just didn't feel that much at the end of the Phantom Troop. I was like, okay, and then this happened. I don't know. I didn't feel that much reading it, you know? Like, compared to the brilliance of, like, how Kuma's backstory ends or something like that, right? Like, Oda thinks of a very, very... I shouldn't compare Hunter x Hunter and One Piece, because they have different strengths. I'd compare Hunter x Hunter to itself. I think that Togashi has been really good at writing, like, one of my favorite scenes ever in anything, period, is Meruem and Kamugi's final moments, right? I don't think he hit any emotional high even remotely close to that with, like, the Phantom Troop's backstory. I feel like if it wasn't Hunter x Hunter and it was just some other manga or something like that, I wouldn't even think twice about that. I would literally forget that backstory straight up. I didn't think it was particularly great by Hunter x Hunter character writing standards. I also felt like it was kind of weak in terms of setting up or like kind of generic in setting up the Phantom Troop's motivation, like how they turn from like these really cutesy kids to like this group that literally will views the entire world as their enemy and will like view all human lives as basically disposable, etc. I think there's a bit of a jump that I think they went with a very generic backstory to get to, and I feel like the jump from A to B in terms of their characters still feels a little unearned. I think we need a bit more to understand their philosophy of like why they view like even weak, innocent people that they kill as basically like just people that should be killed. I don't know. So overall, Hunter x Hunter, I haven't been as hot on the recent chapters. But I still really look forward to Hunter x Hunter because it's Hunter x Hunter, and I really think the arc overall is going to be a phenomenal arc. I just think this last section of the story hasn't been my favorite personally. Dick so small, I piss on my balls, thanks for the 5. I don't think Oda is wasting the audience's sadness, but is using it to produce an even stronger joy when they end in a miraculous survival instead. Dude, but that's like saying like for any death, like that's not something genius that Oda's pulling out. For any sad death you can think of in any fucking story, it's like, okay, like let's use the Mufasa example. It's like if Mufasa came back at the end of The Lion King, then isn't it just genius? Because it's like you get the sad where Mufasa dies and that's so tragic, but then you also get the happy when Mufasa's revealed to be alive. In Up, when the wife fucking dies at the beginning, it's like you get the sad because she died, but she's revealed to be at the alive at the end, so you get the happy. So it's twice as good. That's obviously not the case because the idea of tragedy and what makes tragedy is the weight of what happens, right? The weight needs to exist, right? You can't do this little magic trick where it's like, okay, we get the sad and then we get the happy, so it's twice as good. It's like, no, what makes the sad is that it can't be fixed, right? That's the idea behind death. So it's just like the logic there doesn't really work as soon as you apply it to storytelling in general, because it's just like think of any fucking story ever, and like also just think of like anything in One Piece ever. It's like, well then why not, if Oda's like, if that's the genius move to make, then Oda should just do this for every death that he ever thinks of, right? Like he should, like he wrote Ace's death, right? Well, what if Oda wrote in like some little out like loophole, like Ice Time Capsule or something like that, so that like 400 chapters later he can bring Ace back. Same with Whitebeard, same with Bellemere, same with like, why doesn't Oda just write these little loopholes all the time, and then that way he can always kill the character, so you get the sad, and then you bring them back, and then you get the happy, right? It just doesn't work like that. I think intuitively everyone understands that, like, as soon as you just think about it a little bit, it's just obviously a very poor defense. That's not to say that I understand where you're coming from, obviously, but just like, if you apply it a little bit, right, you understand why it's just generally considered bad storytelling, and it's not a genius move to be like, I write a death scene for Saul, but I write like a little out for it so that he can come back 700 chapters later, and then Robin's happy, so we get the sad and the happy, and that's really good. It's like, no, you need to stick with one. You need to stick with one because that's what gives storytelling meaning. John Lowe, thanks a lot for the 2. How do you feel about Bon Clay reveal in cover story? Bon Clay was never shown to die. We were left open at, like, in One Piece, also at the stage that Bon Clay did his sacrifice, right? we were still at the stage in One Piece where like we kind of intuitively understand that no, like Ace and Whitebeard, who came later on, they were the first on-screen deaths. I think at that point we'd kind of come to learn that like we're not ever meant to really view a One Piece character as dead unless we see a body. So in the context of One Piece, just kind of the standard Oda had established for us, the reader, it's like, okay, we've kind of understood that like he's not going to kill characters unless we literally see them dead. So because Bon Clay kind of left off at like, he's just making this dramatic sort of like, dramatic sacrifice in that he's going to stay in jail and stay behind, but Oda cuts away before actually suggesting that he dies. I think that that's fine. It's similar to like, you know, when Big Mom at the end of Whole Cake, she shows up and she's like life or treat or anything or whatever. It's like, I don't think that's Oda telling us that every character here now just dies, you know? I did hope for some more consequence out of that, but it's not the same. I think, and it's not even just One Piece related. Let me clarify that. Generally speaking, in storytelling in general, if you leave a character's fate up in the air, it's not the same as saying like, okay, well, that character seemed to be in a, you know, like it seemed like he ran into a character that it could definitely kill him. That's not the same as writing a death scene, you know? It's like, oh shit, the character put themselves in harm's way, but we're not actually seeing them die. It's not even a One Piece thing. It's just in general. If you don't see the character die, you're probably not going to feel quite the same. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it right about here. All right. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Yeah, this was a good stream. Let's see who got closest to correct next chapter. If multiple people got it correct, you will all be shouted out. I think the prize is being made mod and like all that stuff. Like we're gonna work out the details going forward. If too many people get their shit right and then we get too many new mods, we might cut that in the next time we do one of these things. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And this might be a standard thing when we have break weeks. We might do these prediction competitions. So yeah, let's see. I'm interested to see which one of these comes right. I feel like some people are going to get something right out of this. So let's see what happens. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I'll talk to you all later.